After a long and arduous 5-week summer break, the MotoGP has returned. Silverstone might have started soaked wet through on a Saturday, but what followed on Sunday was nothing short of spectacular. There were thrills, spills, and who could forget that interview. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Big Bad Bike Show. I'm the Big Bad Biker, Sam McCauley, and joining me tonight, as always, is the Up North Biker, Ash Hall. Say hello, Ash.
Hello.
And also is Moto Chippy, Chris Chippy Ballard. Say hello, mate.
Hello.
And if you're listening on YouTube, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss an episode or a video. And if you're on Spotify, Apple or Google or any of them, please leave a comment. You can let us know where you're listening from. You can get in contact by emailing us on podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. And if you are listening on Spotify, just have a look down below, scroll up a little bit, because there may be a poll. There may not be, but sometimes I stick a poll in there and I think nobody sees it. So just have a little scroll down and see what's there. Anyway, Ash, you going to tell us what's coming up on the show?
Yeah, what's coming up on the show is the all-new Who Am I, as usual. We're going to be looking back at the MotoGP at Silverstone and also looking forward to the BSB at Thruxton. During the show, we're also going to be asking, did Bagnaia exceed track limits on the final lap? Does Darren Binder need a lifetime ban? And why can't the Brits handle the pressure? So that's what we're going to be asking during the show.
But before we come to any of that, I mentioned YouTube earlier. I just want to give a big shout out for the Up North Biker, Ash Hall, with his YouTube video, which has just recently got how many views, Ash?
It's gone over 10,000 now, so I was quite impressed with that.
That's really views. Good. You're almost a YouTube sensation.
Not quite. I think I need 1 million, don't I?
Yeah, you need to get a few more. But you're
to get the golden thing or whatever it is.
No, that's you need 1 million subscribers, not 1 million viewers.
All right.
You need 1 million subscribers. We've got like 104 at the minute, so we're not quite there yet, but we might get there. Anyway, well done, mate. 10,000 views. That's good.
Thank you very much.
Chippy, what have you been up to this week? Have you done anything bike related, or is it just all boring crap like normal?
It's all boring.
After my flowers.
No, not doing anything with my flowers this week. No, I've still got my family up. They're going home in a couple of days, which is sad. And I've been a bit of a dick with... I've got a dash cam and just been out getting incidents and posting it on the local spotted sites. But I've got support for what I've done. Anyway.
Yeah, but I love how you posted it as anonymous. You're such an absolute little bitch. You couldn't put your real name.
No, because
the guy will probably see it and then he'll be like, I'm going to go find him.
Yeah, but the thing is, it winds people up that little bit more if you post it anonymously. That's what I did earlier, because he got out of his car to come and
I bet you were bricking it. I bet you were bricking it when he got out of the car.
But I was until I saw he was built like a SIM card. And then
you're built like a SIM card.
Yeah, no, he looked weaker than me, so I was like,
it would have been like a little nerd fight.
But yeah, he got out and started walking towards my car, and the lights went green, so I just drove off, and I thought that's probably really annoyed him.
And just to clarify, we don't condone road rage on this podcast.
No.
Even though I do partake in it in a little bit myself.
But no, that's it for me. Ash, have you been up to much?
Not a lot going on. Been out for a few little rides on my new bike. Just getting a decent feel for it. Got her all cleaned up and polished at the weekend. But still waiting for... What I did was, because I was being a bit proactive, I put my private plate onto the bike, but I'm still waiting for the logbook so I can actually transfer it onto it. And I really can't be asked to put the other plate back on so I can go for a ride. So I'm just waiting for the logbook. But I decided to call her Betty.
Oh gosh, that's so sad. Name. You are so sad.
No, I'm not.
You are.
No, I think Betty's a good name for her.
I think every bike, every car deserves a name, Chippy. I just do not understand this. Anybody listening, if you want to get in contact at podcastbigbadbs.co.uk and let us know, should you be naming your bikes or your cars or even your kettle? I don't name my kettle, but I call my old kettle Old Steamer.
Sam, right. What have you been up to?
Well, not very much. I went on a weekend break with my family, which was really nice to do. Go out and eat some chips and do all the sort of seaside stuff that you do, apart from the fact that it rained all day on Saturday, as we all know from watching Silverstone, and it probably just rained the whole way around England. But it's such a typical Great British attitude that we didn't come home from our holiday and say, oh, what a great time we had, wasn't the weather great? We came home with a tremendous sense of pride that we had made the most of it. Oh, didn't we make the most of it? Oh, let's all feel good about ourselves. It was such a Great British thing to have to do, make the most of it. But yeah, we had a nice time, we had a good time. The caravan park we stayed at had a lot, didn't have a lot to live up to, but neither here nor there. We had a really good time. I enjoyed my little break away. Also, I think my new addiction to pickled eggs is getting a little out of control. I'm now on to my second jar, which might not seem a lot, but every opportunity when I was in my weekend break away, every time I went down to a chip shop, I was like, can I have some chips? Can I also have a pickled egg? So I was just eating pickled eggs all the time.
You've got catching up to do. You didn't eat eggs for a long time, Sam. It's okay.
Yeah, I did. I went 2.5. That was a long time ago. I went 2.5 years. Tried to be vegan, and I did pretty well at it. And I think it was 2.5 years. I can't even remember. Maybe it was
you did really well, unless somebody made a cake.
No. Whenever I was proper vegan, I was proper vegan. I was just one of them melts that just annoyed everybody. Turned up at a barbecue and like, oh, I can't eat that because I'm vegan. But nobody goes to a barbecue. Nobody goes to a barbecue for food. The only reason you go to a barbecue is to get drunk and start a fight. That's basically it. A friendly fight, a nice little friendly fight, not a bad fight. You know the friendly fights where
but our friendly fight ended up with me with your thumb in my eye.
Yes, but it was still friendly.
I went fucking hurt.
I know, but it was still friendly.
It's only because I was winning.
Day? No,
it wasn't.
Really.
That was the Halloween. That was the Halloween party.
That was such a good party. It wasn't because you're winning. It's because I kind of have this rule when I'm doing like play fighting that you can't punch somebody. You have to kind of use slaps. But then you end up with big fingers in your eye, and everybody ends up using the ball of their hand, and you try and get somebody like it ends up even worse.
Sounds like you're digging a hole. I was definitely winning. But okay.
Well, that's because you're twice the size of me, Ash. Jesus, of course you're winning. Hell.
Oh dear.
I had a pickled egg tonight. It was very nice.
Did you have a bit of salt on it?
No, my dad dropped it on the floor.
I like to put a bit of salt on it.
On your pickled egg?
Yeah, just a sprinkle of salt. Honestly, it's game changer.
Well, salt and vinegar is really nice. Salt and vinegar is nice on things.
My dad always gets pickled egg and puts it in a bag of ready salted crisps, shakes the bag.
My mum
and
does
eats it out of there. Really weird.
My mum does that. That must be like an old person thing, because my mum does that.
Is there like
not saying you're old, mum. Sorry.
Is there like a particular type of ready salted crisp that would be good? Because every sort of crisp's got their own
Walkers.
I'd imagine he just does Walkers. He's not really one.
I really like. This is another one of my little addictions, which has recently flared up. Hula hoops. I really like hula hoops. So
I haven't had them in years.
Because I've got kids and they like hula hoops, and I inevitably eat them all anyway. So
one of my favourite crisps.
You don't need to use your hands; you can just throw them into your face.
Favourite crisps? Well, not favourite crisps, but I used to really like them. Do you remember the ones with the packs of salt that you used to have to put in?
Yes.
Oh, Salt and Shake. Yes.
Yeah, they were class.
They still are
class.
What happened to them?
You still get them.
I think you still get them. Yeah.
I need to get some of them. They were really nice.
Anyway, this isn't very bike related.
This isn't very bike related. Shall we move on to any feedback?
Yeah, so we got a couple of we did actually get a couple of emails from last week. So the first one is from Kaylee Dudley. She said, me and my boyfriend are currently travelling to pick up the keys to our first house, and Luke's got your podcast on. He's already laughing at your bickering. It keeps us entertained for a couple of hours. It's a class podcast. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
He says,
thank you very much.
She says, question for the podcast. How long have you known each other? Second question, why motorbikes if all of you don't have a licence? And the third question is, what would be your first start-up bike? Or what's a good start-up bike?
How long
have
I known you? So I've known you since, obviously, we...
Started 2019.
Yeah, that was when I met you.
It was
as
January 2019.
Well.
That's when. No, you met me in February 2019.
Oh yeah, I wasn't there, was I? I was
Yeah,
a bit
no,
late to
you
the
weren't.
party.
So I met Chippy a few years before Sam, but we weren't really. Well, I wouldn't say we were like pally back then.
We spoke and said hello and that.
Yeah,
but we weren't
we
really
were all
mates.
right with each other.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't at that point. You wouldn't have called me fatty, and I wouldn't have called you a nonce. you
No,
know?
exactly.
It wasn't that kind of friendship level.
Yeah, you don't really like somebody until you start insulting them.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that is true.
Once you can happily, you can think of the most insulting thing to say to somebody and freely say it to them. That's when you know you're mates.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, Chippy, when we first met, did you ever think that I would be your best man?
No, definitely not.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
You think back to that time, and you think, fucking hell, I was Chippy's
To be
best
fair,
man.
3 years ago, I still wouldn't have thought you'd been my best man.
Yeah, fair
Well,
one.
well looking back from now, Chippy, do you think I would actually got an invite to your wedding?
Ooh.
Actually, I remember in Cyprus, we basically said, as soon as we leave here, we're probably never going to speak to each other again. Now look at us.
Aye.
We're
Yes, I
actual
know.
friends.
Well, no, actually, it was Sam that said that. He said, well, what I do is I usually just don't bother.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I met a lot of people in my life, and there's very few of them I actually give a toss about. And it's not that I don't care about them; I'm just not very good at keeping in contact with people.
Yes.
But then the pandemic happened, and this became more normal to talk to people.
Yes.
This is the new
That's
normal.
true.
Anyway, so in answer to your question, we've known each other collectively for about what 3-4 years, 4
Yeah.
5 years maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
So why motorbikes?
They're
Do you want me to go
awesome,
first?
Kaylee.
Do you want me?
Come on.
Can I go first?
You can go first, go on.
Yeah, they are awesome. So this podcast, even though we do talk motorbikes and stuff, is more about motorcycle racing. So none of us race motorcycles, so that doesn't have to be a thing. But I grew up from like as soon as I could walk, I wouldn't say dragged, kicking and screaming, but I was being taken to motorbike races all over like Ireland, north, south. And that was me up until my early teens, up until I was at an age where I just wanted to go out and get drunk all the time and forget about motorbike racing for a few years. But that was my upbringing. It's how I grew up. It's nostalgic to me. I love it. I go to a pub now, and as much as I do like football, I do enjoy football, but I go to a pub and it's usually sitting there with people I don't really like, talking about something I'm not really cared about. And quite frankly, I would rather spend my time at my kitchen table talking to people that I do like about something that I am interested in. So that's how the podcast for me kind of came around. What about you two?
Chippy, you can go next.
My sister's ex, he used to do club. Oh, he's such a dick. He used to do club racing, and I watched him doing that, and I got kind of hooked. And then he decided to be a privateer in the Superstock 1000 class in BSB, and I was hooked. And then I just got more and more into bikes and watching. Well, I used to watch a bit of MotoGP. I wasn't massively into it, and then I got into BSB and more super bikes, and I just loved it. That's how.
What age were you? What age were you when you started getting into bikes then? Because you sound like a late comer.
I was a late
Sound
comer.
like a late comer to.
What was I? Probably 25, 24, 25, I think. I'm now 32. Well, 33
So-
this month.
So prior to being 25, did you never really watch motorbikes at all?
I watched it a bit. It was mainly just MotoGP. I wasn't that into it, but I used to watch.
Is this when you were a Formula One fan?
Oh God, no! I stopped watching Formula One in about 2010 when Jenson Button just won the championship, and then it just started going downhill. It was so.
What about you, Ash?
Me, I've been around bikes all my life. My mum's side and my dad's side are both massively into bikes. I learned how to ride a motorbike before a push bike, so I was very lucky as a kid growing up. My dad, obviously, me and my brother, we had motorbikes, so we were on them all the time. Until the point when I was at a motorbike track and we were just mucking about on it. You know, there's loads of different bikes there. And I'd just come in, goggles all muddied up. My dad said, right, make sure you get onto the track before you start going because your goggles are all muddied up and you'll crash. Otherwise, you'll crash into that rope fence. So I didn't listen to my dad. I started it up, went towards the fence, which I thought was the gap, and it wasn't. I actually ended up hitting the rope with my neck. I did a full-on 360, and I was just dangling from this rope by my neck. It was just choking me to death. So yeah, I had a pretty interesting introduction to bikes as a kid, but I've always had them. I'm a bit like Chippy. I started watching bikes sort of when I was around 24, really, and that was mainly MotoGP. So again, I was a bit of a late comer to it as well, but I've been riding for years, so I was more of like a
You're a road
preferred
bike kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm more road bike. I do like the racing, but obviously I love nothing more than riding my bike. So
Yeah.
I started watching MotoGP when I was about 11 or 12. Like, I'm saying that, even back as like 1992, 93, if the opportunity was there, we would have had it on. Like maybe a tape recording or something my old man would have got, we'd have watched it. Like the Kevin Swans, Wayne Rainey days. But actually watching MotoGP week in, week out was like, I was probably about 11, 12, 13. And then like fanatically from about 1998 onwards. But as for BSB, I'm late to BSB because like growing up watching road racing, it was always a back seat because I would either go to the road race, and then if I was watching bikes, it would be the MotoGP, and then down from that it would be the World Superbikes. And British Superbikes usually just get, the only reason I watch British Superbikes so much now is because of the podcast, but before it was always like, I don't have time, I'll try and catch up. I never did. Anyway, the last question she asked is, what is a good start-up bike? I think this is perhaps for her boyfriend, Luke.
yeah, well,
Fiance.
Chippy, you can't
She does
answer
a
this
look-
because yes, it's
Fiance, yeah.
Fiance.
She does allude to a moped accident, and that's why he's not allowed one. But you have to go in a little bit deeper to that moped accident.
Obviously, Chippy, you can't comment on this first bike because you haven't got a clue.
No.
Sam,
Gixxer 1000.
No. I've said it many times on this pod before, but a first great bike, especially for Luke, would be a Suzuki SV650. Reliable, cheap to run, and fairly cheap to buy as well. That's what I would recommend for a first bike.
What's it called? Suzuki.
Suzuki SV650.
I'm just going to Google it because I have no idea what it looks like.
You can get them
whenever I did
fully
my-
fed, which are nice, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I did my second CBT, they obviously seen that I could ride a bike, so they were like, "Do you want to go on the 650? Because that's the bike you'd be doing if you do lessons." So I had like an hour on it, but that was
Yeah.
a Suzuki 650. So that's what they used to do their lessons on, because it's I imagine it's a nice easy bike to ride. However, I'm going to go back a step. I'm going to back to like 125s. If you're thinking of getting into it and you want to do a CBT and get a 125, I know there's other ones out there, and I'm not just saying it because I have one, but my YBR is a great little bike, and I bought that one for a reason. I just became like tunnel vision on a YBR because I had read one before, I had did a CBT in one, and they're just nice, easy little bikes to ride. Like you said, they're Yamaha, you can't go wrong with a Japanese bike. So if you want to get 125, YBR 125, and saying that, it's a Chinese bike, but I saw one on Lex Motos today and it looked really, really nice. It did look really nice and clean. Ash hates them because he doesn't like Chinese bikes.
no,
But yeah, I hope we've answered your questions. If it's not too traumatising, send us an email about your moped accident and we'll discuss it in the show as well.
Oh, it's so good.
Anyway, Kaylee, Luke, Steve-O, thanks very much for your email. We appreciate that. Right,
We love you guys.
we had a second bit of feedback from Ryan Crossan. He says he wants to see a Jack Dixon versus Darren Binder end of season charity boxing fight. So I went a little bit deeper with him and I said who else would be in the undercard. He said that he thinks Costa and Augusto would be a good one, and then the loser gets the MotoGP or the winner gets the MotoGP seat, the loser gets the Moto2 seat. And I thought we could have Lopez and Sam Lowe's in that as well.
Yes.
And if we're going full WWE, we could just have Mark Marquez run in as a token bad guy. Because he just knocks everybody off.
And then he'd break his arm.
Now, he did also go on to say, with Dorna having the ability to change the rules willy-nilly and the regulations for around safety grounds, should they not just ban the Honda bike? Just ban the Honda, don't let it on the grid. You're not going to finish the race anyway.
Honda is legendary.
Honda's
Sorry.
probably hoping they do get banned just to save themselves a few million pounds because they just never finish a race.
Yeah.
You go to a MotoGP race now, you just go there for Honda to buy spare parts. That's the reason.
Yeah.
Right, this next one leads into your Who Am I? They've got the answer, so I'll read it out because we're going to go into that bit next. So it says, good morning. This is from Claire Balstead. It says, good morning. She has emailed previously a few times. She says, good morning, team. I believe this week's Who Am I is the legendary Troy Bayliss. Love these podcasts. Keep up the good work. And she's asking if anybody's going to Thruxton this weekend. Funny you should ask that. This weekend, I was hoping that I could maybe go to Thruxton because, as you two know, I was hoping to move down south. I'm not going to say where, but I was hoping to move down south, and Thruxton would have been my local track. But as life would have it threw me a curveball, and I'm still stuck here in the Midlands. So I'm not there. Unfortunately, I can't go to Thruxton. Is either of you two going?
No. But I am going to Alton Park in September, and I will see Claire there. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Okay. I was hoping I could go to Thruxton, but ultimately I can't. Wah, wah, wah. First world problems. Anyway, I'll just have to watch it on the TV instead. Right. Who am I? Does somebody else want to read the Who Am I? Because I'm talking a lot.
Oh, it's your Who Am I, really, so it should be you that does it.
It should be you.
Alright, it's my Who Am I? Jesus Christ, right. Oh, mention Jesus Christ. There's a church near me, right? And every Tuesday they get the ding dong bells out and they ding their bells. Ding, da, ding, da, ding. Oh, God, it pisses me off. I'm like, why don't you not just do that like at a more appropriate time rather than when my kids are doing it? Anyway, here's last week's Who Am I? I was born in New South Wales, Australia. I've been there. I've been to New South Wales, Australia. Anyway, I was born in New South Wales, Australia. I feel like I should say it in an Australian accent, but I'm not going to. I had 45 starts in MotoGP, but only one win. I am a 3 times World Superbike champion. So I'm a 3 times World Superbike champion from Australia. As already mentioned, Claire Balstead said she thought the answer was Troy Bayliss, and she is correct. Did everybody get it this week?
Yes, I had to Google though.
I cannot believe you had to Google that.
Sorry.
I've only just seen Ashes, so I'm just messaging him privately now to see if I've got it.
No, it's not. Chippy.
Is it the other one?
I've not messaged him because how do you not know who that is?
I always get everybody mixed up. Anyway.
No, Chippy. That's 2 guesses. I thought that was quite a good Who Am I for this week.
Yeah, that's obvious who it is. I've just sent it to you. I'm pretty sure I know who that is.
Yes, Sam, it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want me to read out the clues?
Yeah, go. Read out the clues.
Okay, so this week's Who Am I is mine, and I was born in Alanya in 1996. I competed in the Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup in 2013 and 2014. And I joined the World Superbikes in 2018 riding a Kawasaki ZX-10R.
It was that last clue that done it for me. The first 2 were a bit like, because I don't know where Alanya
I've
is.
messaged it again.
Yes, Chippy.
Sorry, I got confused. I thought you meant he was still riding on that bike on the last clue. That's what threw me.
No,
that's what it was. That's just how long it took him to check Google.
I swear.
Yeah.
Well, it's only going to be one. It's only going to be like one of 5 people.
I bet you put it into ChatGPT. That's what you did.
I wonder if ChatGPT would know that. Let's put it in there. ChatGPT is so good.
I hate ChatGPT. I don't think it likes me. I put things into chat. I'm just going to call it chat. I put things into chat, and it just spits out basically what I put in.
Yeah, it doesn't like you.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it knows it and everything. It's so
I'm trying
good.
To hear if I can hear my kids.
So good, this app. Sorry. Let's carry on. Can't believe I
Well,
didn't get
You
that.
say so.
In fairness, I misread the last clue.
Right, anyway, if you would like to contact us, anybody listening, if you would like to contact us with an answer to the Who Am I, or just generally talk some absolute nonsense to us, it doesn't have to be about bikes. Obviously, if it is about bikes, that's better, but it doesn't have to be about bikes. You can send us an email at podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. If you're a little bit shy and you don't want your name read out, just leave a fake name. Obviously, the more bizarre the better, but don't make it so rude that we can't read it out on the show.
Let's keep it politically correct. Not!
Yes. Right. That's going to lead us on.
Firstly, to start the news, we've got some sad news. We're going to pay our condolences to Koparam Shreyas Harish, who's a rising star, 13 years old. He was participating in the FMSCI Indian National Motorcycle Racing Championship. He had a big crash at the Madras International Circuit, suffered catastrophic head injuries, and unfortunately lost his life. So, pay our condolences from the podcast.
That honestly seems like even worse news when you know that he's only 13.
Yes.
Obviously, riders that are riding around have to start somewhere.
Mm.
And it's sobering to think that there's men and women out there who are sending their sons and daughters out to race who are eventually going to become stars. But you watch some of the young riders in like the FIM championships at young ages, and they're riding around at the age of 13, and you don't really think anything of it because you just become so normal to see. But yeah, sad news.
Very.
Condolences to his family, friends, team, anyone that knew him.
Yes. Should we get on to the next bit of news? Triumph Motorcycles extends engine supply deal with Moto2 until 2029. The 4-year contract with Dorna guarantees a decade of sole supply for the intermediate class, starting in 2025. The recent debut of the 765cc triple-cylinder engine, inspired by the Triumph Street Triple 765 RS, underlines this commitment. Which is good news. I love Triumph.
Because they're good bikes. So.
I love Triumph, and I really wish they had
really
like a
good
superbike team or something like that. But it's
Yeah,
nice to see.
I
them
watched
Moto2.
I was on Facebook just completely by accident. I was on Facebook when I seen that MotoGP was live, so I went on there, and it was the press conference, the special circumstances press conference that they held to announce it. And they had, was it Alonso Lopez? I think it was, and Jack Dixon were on the stage
Yes.
talking about, because something about if you get enough fastest laps or something and you become the fastest person, you get to win a bike.
Right.
And they were talking to Jack Dixon about what he would do if he'd won a bike, and he was like, "Oh, I'd take it straight into the first wholesaler and sell it." But it says they're also going to be going into like motocross and supercross.
Yeah, I like I'm with Chippy. You know, World Superbikes, BSB would be great to have Triumph in.
Yeah, it would.
British team, British company. You know,
Mm.
I've always liked Triumph, and them engines are decent in the Moto2 bikes. You hardly ever see them blowing up anyway. So
Yeah, never get any technical problems, do they? Usually.
no, I mean Triumph years and years ago they used to be quite unreliable. Really, they used to drop oil all the time, and
I did see something about they're changing the gearboxes as well. I don't know if it's from next year or
Yeah.
whatever. They're putting neutral right at the bottom.
I don't know if it's from next year or if it's from 2025 when the new contract starts. But they said that on the press conference. But the way they said it, I don't know if at the minute Triumphs worked with the gearbox or if the gearbox is made for them and they just have to use it. But they made it sound like for the first time they get to develop their own gearbox in this bike. Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're putting the neutral below first gear out of the way.
Yeah, because
So
it's similar with
there's
Pedro Acosta when he he had a few moments, didn't he, where he missed a gear or he hit false neutral or whatever.
Yeah.
And he, it sort of threw him off the track a bit. So I think it's good. Good idea.
But even whenever I'm riding my own bike, sometimes I think, why have they got neutral between the first and second
It's
gear?
weird,
Why do they
isn't
not
it?
just put it? Why do they not just put it out of the way?
Yeah,
Why do
but
they not put it below first gear?
You only hit neutral generally if you hit the gear lever a little bit too softly. If you're between one and
Yeah,
obviously
but why
one
is
and
it
two.
there? Why is it not at the
Well,
bottom?
you need a neutral. Yeah, you need a neutral. But why is it not at the bottom?
You have it so.
Why is it one down?
The
the rest
first, I don't know. I'll fucking tell you if you stop speaking. Right, so when you press
Oh,
down,
now you know how I feel. Whenever I try to talk, you wouldn't fucking stop laughing.
I was muted. You fucking had to make a comment. Right, so
You were still putting us off. Chappie couldn't even speak. Right, on you go. Say something.
So you press when you're setting off. You don't really want to be like lifting up on the gear. The way I see it is you push down on it, so then you know it's in there, and then so that's why it's one down and then the rest are up.
Yeah, that makes a point. I guess that's the point. Well, why? I was going to say something stupid. I'm just going to shut up. Yeah, that is a good point. That is a good point because whenever you press down on it, like you are well and truly sure that's
Yeah.
in first gear. I'm ready to go.
And you only ever use
you ever-
first gear to set off. You never ever really use it.
Do you ever use it like your car? Do you ever stick it in second to take off and think this can easily go off in second?
No, I always set off in first.
What if you're in like a little bit of a downhill? Would you maybe be like stick it in second and go?
No, always start with first.
Do you ever do that with your car? Do you ever start in second gear with your car?
No,
Usually by accident.
No.
I never start with no, never.
No, usually, like you see, like if you get usually an old white van where the clutch is fucked from driving it. Usually, then I would stick around to second gear because it's just a lot easier. Rather, because first gear it's maybe revving its tits off you, and then you get into second gear really quick. Sometimes it's easier just to stick into second gear and start in second gear.
Maybe. I've always started in first. So.
I've driven some cars where you could start in third gear. Like, you maybe get into third gear and it would chug.
God,
to
that must
start
be going
and
like.
No, I've done it. Like it's usually by mistake, like you say, where you get in third gear and it chugged, and then you start, and then you realise, holy shit, I was in third gear and not started. Obviously, that wouldn't happen on my motorbike, but
No.
Anyway,
Whenever I first
well off
got-
topic.
I don't
Anyway,
care. Whenever I first got on my bike, it took me a long time to be able to find that neutral. It took me ages to be able to find it. It was like the proverbial clitoris. It took me ages to find it. But like, no, I would come to like a traffic light, so I would come to a stop and I'd try and get neutral, and like I would go from like second gear to first gear to second gear, and I'd be like, fucking get into neutral. But after a few rides, you find that little, and it just slides in there. Yes,
slides
Yes.
in there.
right.
Can we go back
Moving
to the
on.
news?
Next piece of news.
Although we discussed it last week, I'm going to go over it again because we didn't actually discuss it last week. Sam edited it in. Macam Yamaha will exit the British Superbike Championship at the end of the year. I was just wondering where this leaves Jason O'Halloran. And also, Macam Yamaha, I'm pretty sure, are the factory-supported team in BSB by Yamaha. I was assuming they'd be going to OMG Yamaha, or whatever they're called. Thoughts? Where do you reckon Jason O'Halloran's going to go? I mean, he is quite old. He could always just retire, but
He's a really good rider, though.
he is. He'd get into a lot of teams, but I don't know where he'd go.
I need to make a correction for last week, because last week I said about wanting these like road racing stuff, like wanting to keep his toe in road racing, but I was looking back on it and I don't think he's ever done any road racing.
Yeah,
If he has, he's done very, very little. But I was thinking maybe he'd done a TT, but I don't think he has. I thought maybe he'd done a Northwest, but I don't think he has. So
Yeah.
I mean, I know
he's done a
we
little
were saying
done a little bit of Grand Prix riding and British Superbikes and stuff. But
Yeah.
we're saying that Danny Buchan wasn't enjoying
Yeah.
the British Superbike so much. Maybe he could take a BMW ride.
He could, or maybe one of the factory Hondas, or UK, Honda UK, whatever they're called.
Yeah. Or what about who is its ride? Dean Harrison's.
No, I don't think he'd go to that team. They're more of a road
No.
racing team anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know. Who knows?
Who knows? But that is one for BSB silly season at some point.
Yeah.
Yes. Next bomb. Silly season favourite Franco Morbidelli will part ways with Factory Yamaha MotoGP team after the end of the 2023 season. This news broke just after our last podcast, and Alex Rins was confirmed as his replacement shortly after. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, we kind of knew he'd be leaving.
Yeah.
I think Franco Morbidelli is getting a hard rep. He's getting treated unfairly. Personally, I know it's like, oh, you got a number one rider and a number two rider, but this year, and going back previous years, he doesn't perform much worse than Fabio Quartararo, apart from the fact that Quartararo has a championship. I know he's got a championship, but Morbidelli came so close to having a championship.
Yeah,
but other than that, even this year, they're very much same. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was a toss of a coin who you're going to get rid of. But obviously, Quartararo's got the one championship, and he seems a little bit more marketable, maybe.
Yeah,
but I think from the minute it was like, oh, Yamaha's going to get rid of a rider, everybody just jumped at Morbidelli, and I think he's been a little hard done by, not in the fact that Yamaha's got rid of him, but he's kind of, and we've done it as well, we kind of just bat him about from pillar to post. He can go here, he can go there, as if he's just some throwaway rider, but he's really good, and he's a talented rider, and like you said, he was runner-up in 2020, was it? And
I
is he
really
a
rate
Moto2
him.
champion?
Yeah, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's he's definitely won a World Championship. I'm sure it's Moto2.
Was he a Moto3 champion?
Let me have a look. Morbidelli.
Because, yeah, ultimately, I don't know where he's going to go. I'm trying to think about where he's going to go. He did an interview. I'm not sure if any of you's watched it or read it, but he done an interview, and he basically talked about how competitive he is in MotoGP and some of the race finishes he's had, and he's basically said that in his mind, in his opinion, he justifies his presence in the MotoGP grid.
Yes.
He's basically said people talk to him about World Superbikes, and he's like, but I'm competitive in MotoGP. I'm competitive enough in MotoGP
Yes.
that he thinks he belongs there, which he does.
Yes.
Is he a Moto2
2017.
champion?
2017, he won the Moto2 Championship.
Yeah, so he's a world champion.
Yeah. I think he's
So
class.
he's
He's
got-
very underrated.
So he's got just as many championships as Quartararo,
yeah.
and probably more race wins when you go back and look at it. Anyway, where he's going to go, that's one for silly season. But
Yeah.
because he has a friendship with Valentino Rossi. That's not new. We know that. And there's some movement talking about one rider going here and there, and another rider going blah. And anyway, it's one for silly season. But there might be an availability at VR46 Ducati where he might slot in there, and that would seem that might suit him better.
Yes.
He maybe needs that. Anyway, oh,
Yeah.
my little dog's doing his little paw thing when he's sleeping.
The little paw twitches.
Yeah.
My dog's
Yes.
not here. Got it.
Well, I haven't seen my dog for over a week because I was away. Had to put him in the kennels.
You put him in a kennel?
But what else am I going to do with him? Leave him by the house himself?
Oh, I couldn't put him in a kennel. I'd have to get somebody to come around and look after him.
Who am I
take
going
him
to
there.
get here to come around and look after him? I don't trust anybody around here to come around and look after my dog.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
suppose.
trust anybody around here to come round and take my bins out. Never mind look after my dog. Anyway, he loves the kennel. He loves it. It's class.
Oh, fair enough.
You see him when he goes in there. He can't wait to get there.
That's because he's not getting beaten.
Because he's away from you.
He loves me. I
Yeah.
love him too.
Yes.
What are
Anyway,
you drinking, Sam?
next bit of news. Underwhelming news. Jerez will host the 2023 World Superbike season finale after the Argentina cancellation. I thought that was really disappointing. I was hoping we were going to go to Laguna Seca or somewhere like that, but it's
Yeah, I was as well.
Spanish track, and also if Bautista, I mean, if it does get to a tight sort of finish in the championship, that's just going to favour him. A Spanish track, Spanish
of course it
fans.
is.
I'm drinking Madri Exceptional, which I've never had before. That's
It's
the first time
nice.
I've ever had
It's
it.
really nice. I like it.
My father-in-law bought it for my birthday. So
very
it was
good.
my birthday
I think it's
recently,
Spanish,
so
isn't
my father-in-law
it? Is it
sent it to
Spanish?
me. Yeah, I would say with the name Exceptional. Yeah, Cerveza Exceptional. So back to that news. I think that is a little bit, I'm going to use the word disgusting. It disgusts me. Like, I read that and I was just like,
It's an easy cop out. That's what it is.
But they had already planned to go to Argentina. They were already planning to go to the Americas.
Yeah.
Surely it couldn't be that hard to organise Laguna Seca or Circuit of the Americas or there's loads of tracks in America. Couldn't be that hard to maybe sort out Mexico or Brazil or Canada or something. It couldn't be that difficult. Like you say, it's an easy out. Let's just go to Jerez, nice and easy. But I was looking at it. Right, all the 12 rounds in World Superbikes, there's one in Australia, there's one in Indonesia, and all the rest are in Europe. It's barely a World Championship. It's a European Championship with 2 flyaway rounds. It's like British Superbikes. It's like, imagine British Superbikes having a round in Assen and then having a round in Medilla Park in Ireland. I know Ireland's, like, inverted commas, not Britain, but it's really close. I'm talking about Southern Ireland here because they're in the Euro. But imagine British Superbikes doing that. One round going to Assen and then another round going to Medilla Park, because they have done that up to like 2007. They'd still call it British Superbikes. You know what I mean? They wouldn't call it the European Superbikes. They call it British Superbikes. So how can World Superbikes get away with having 10 rounds or something in Europe, and then just having a round in Australia and a round in Indonesia? This was their opportunity, like, to be a bit more worldwide.
Yeah.
Annoying. Lazy.
Maybe
That's how
they're
it seems.
thinking Bautista's going to win, so let's let him win in Spain.
Yeah.
But he's probably going to win and lift the title before he gets there.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway, I just think it's a little bit strange that a World Championship, a World Superbikes World Championship, isn't in, like, I say North America. Obviously that brings in Canada as well, but I'm seeing it a bit strange that it's not in the USA. It's not in the United States.
Well, maybe they'll look at that in the future.
Like, looking back in motorcycle history, like, you look back in motorcycle history and the amount of fantastic riders that the United States has produced,
Yes.
and you think they've got the Daytona 200, the Daytona 500, they've got American riders, they've got the American Superbikes. There's a fan base there. It's a massive fan base. There's like 3.5 or 3,500. How'd you say that?
And the US
3,500
has a massive, like, bike culture as well.
Yeah.
Which is
It's
huge. So I would.
So why are they not in the USA trying to grow the
they should
product?
be.
Why are they not there?
They've got to.
I don't
And
know.
this was their opportunity to be like, oh well, now we have to go to the USA. Oh no, we'll just take it back to Jerez.
Yeah. So disappointing, isn't it, that?
It was.
So disappointing.
It was. I'm sure you can tell by our reaction because, well, mine and yours were just going on about it over and over again. But it was just so underwhelming.
Yeah.
Easy option. Let's just take it
It
to
is
Jerez.
what it is.
I know they'll talk about how green it is. They don't have to travel very far and they don't have to take planes. But they were planning to do that anyway. To go to Argentina. They were already planning to take planes. Oh
Yes.
yeah, it annoyed me.
Yes, I can tell.
Basically that means fucking shut up and move on.
So other news worth mentioning quickly. Taz McKenzie is doing the Suzuka 8 Hour this year. I actually think it might be this week. Well, it must be this weekend. But literally just before we start the podcast, I read his team has been disqualified for running an oversized fuel tank, and they finished second. So they miss out on the podium now, which is a shame.
No. Well, they should have read the rules then.
Well, yes. Just a shame for Taz. I like Taz. And the only other bit of news, which Sam put in other words, I don't think it's news, but Sam does. John McGuinness will compete at the International Truck Grand Prix at Donington Park on August the 12th and 13th, which is that this weekend? No, this weekend coming. Is it this weekend? this weekend.
So how's that? Tell me why that's not motorbike related news. That one of the greatest TT riders of all time is taking part in a truck event.
Yeah, but I mean, it's great, but I wouldn't really say it's newsworthy.
It's like one of them, you know, when you watch the news and they give you all the bad news, and then they go, "Oh, and another story, they're having a duck race down the road."
Yeah.
You know, one of them. It's like one of them little bits, just a little caveat at the end, just to lighten the mood.
That's what I thought.
I was a bit concerned with when the pundit went up to John McGuinness on the grid for the MotoGP and said, "Oh, we're going to see you in Ironman TT next year," and he was like, "Well, he put me on the spot a little bit there." He said something along the lines of, "Well, I'd like to say I would be. The Honda have given me the option to actually go with them if I want to, but we'll see." That to me says I'm not doing it next year.
Be a shame.
It would be a real shame. Well, obviously he needs to retire at some point, but
yeah, I mean he is getting on, but
he is, but he's still up there and
exactly.
Still, battling for fourth.
No, he's not. He's not going there to win.
No, of course
he's
he's
only
not
going there to show up. He's showing a bit of attendance money to turn up, and obviously he likes riding around the TT, but he's not going there to win. You have to at some stage make a decision. Is it worth risking my neck riding around this track?
It'd just be weird not to see him there after so long. I think that's what I'm getting at. But
yes. But anyway, that is the end of the news.
You mentioned the Suzuki R. I've got a question for you, which that's not discussed, but I'm going to throw it in here because it's something I've been thinking about. Iker Lecuona was supposed to ride the Suzuki ERs, and he turned it down for an opportunity to ride the factory Honda in Silverstone.
Mm-hmm.
In your own opinion, what would you rather do? Would you rather be like, go and ride the factory Honda, knowing, and let's be honest, he knew he was going to be at the back,
yeah,
or go on the Suzuki R's and maybe challenge? I don't know what his team was like or how they thought they were going to be, but
I think because he's
like,
pushing
whenever I heard
he's pushing for a ride back in MotoGP, isn't he? So he's probably going to do. That's why I chose that, because it's going to favour. It's going to be better for him with his chances, I think.
Yeah, I understand that, but a part of me just thought, you're turning down an opportunity to go to Suzuki R, and like, let's be honest, it's an ER endurance race. Anything can happen. Anybody can win. I'm sure somebody that really watches it intently could maybe tell me I'm wrong. Podcast at bigbadbs.co.uk if that's the case. But would you not rather go there with the intention of being competitive rather than turn up and ride a Frankenstein?
Like I say, if he's trying to get a ride of Honda in MotoGP and he turned around and said, "Oh well, bollocks to ride in your factory Honda, I'm going to go do the 8-hour race," they might think, "Oh well, what's the point in having him? He's not committed."
Yeah, he's not really committed.
So I think that's probably why he chose to do it.
Is this podcast stuff you're looking at, Chippy? Or are you looking at your little video again to see who's commenting on it?
It was my little video.
Yeah, well, fucking put it down, because you're just sitting there going,
yeah.
Well, I'm waiting for us to get onto the sprint race.
This is a podcast where they want. This is a podcast where nobody can see us. They need to listen to us, which means you need to involve yourself verbally rather than just sitting there going, can't be fucked. A little
I
bit
shall
of effort.
cover my mouth while I speak.
Oh, shut up.
And you two wonder why this is my podcast and you're constant guests. You're so professional. You're just says it all.
Oh yeah, speaking about guests, I may not be on it next week because, I mean, I want to be, but I'm on nights Monday and Tuesday. So if you can hang on till Wednesday, I can happily come on Wednesday, but if you're going to be like, "Oh, I can't wait that long," then I'm afraid you may have to do it without me.
Fuck me.
Maybe Sunday night. Could maybe do it Sunday night.
What are you doing Tuesday, Ash? Like Tuesday?
I'm back from Yorkshire, so.
Are you free in the day?
No, sorry, during the day, no, I'll be at work.
Because next week I've got the house to myself, unfortunately. He says, because my wife's in the kitchen, so I have to say that. She can hear me. Helen can hear me. No, but I am. Basically, do you know why I'm in the house by myself? Because Helen's taking the girls down to see her grandparents, and we don't want to put the dogs in the kennels for another week. You see, so I do love my dog. I'm sacrificing a week with my family to be with my dog.
Sam's going to sit
my
there
heart.
with like 3 crates of beer and not shower for 3 days. Just sit and play Elden Ring, like constantly just fondling and putting his little finger in his belly button and having a sniff. I can just imagine that's what he's going to do.
To be honest, you mentioned Elden Ring, but I really have to grind through Red Dead Redemption 2 because
it's so
I genuinely- No, it's a grind. It's such
best
a grind to
game
get
ever
through
made.
this game.
Yeah,
No, it's
100%.
it is absolutely not the best game ever made. I genuinely like Rockstar games. I like open world games, but I am grinding at that game. I'm grinding at it. I'm picking it up and I'm playing it, and I'm just like, oh my god. Every time I finish like a mission, I go on to completion to see how much more complete I am. I just don't understand why people like it so much, and it's not just you guys that like it. The whole world just seems to love it, and I'm just feel weird.
The story is great.
Yeah, you're the odd one out here.
I am the odd one out, and I know that, and I admit that. I admit I'm the odd one out, but it's such a grind.
That's
to
the
play.
way it is.
It's such good music as well.
That's the way
I think-
it is.
I think I've played too many open world games recently, and I'm just coming to it like, oh, this is probably the worst one I've played. Anyway, we're not a gaming podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Can we get on to the sprint
Let's-
race, please?
Let's move on to our little synopsis about the races. So who's going to be reading this out? Because the listeners don't
Chippy,
know,
because
but
he's been going.
We had,
Go on, Chippy.
we had a little bit of confusion about these notes, didn't we? Of who was writing what and who was reading what.
Yes, we did. And it was basically, long story short, is Chat GPT has done it the last second, and I haven't
That
even read through the
basically means-
notes.
Right, so the listeners know, whenever I take notes, I have the decency to sit down and write it out myself. It's coming from me. It's not just some shit notes I've put in fucking Chat GPT and then just give a load of bullshit with words that only a thesaurus knows. I've actually went and done it myself.
Phosphorus.
Once again proven.
Phosphorus.
Phosphorus. Once again proven that I'm the professional one on this podcast.
The thing is, I do that with my notes. I just don't take notes very often because I can't be bothered.
Right. Well,
Ash's notes are just terrible, but he's
Yes,
the only one
because
that
I
consistently
bullet
takes
point.
them. Yeah.
I bullet point. That's why.
So anyway, these are Ash's notes typed up by ChatGPT. So the sprint race. The Silverstone circuit
Shit.
witnessed gripping battles as riders charged in the sprint race. Miller made an impressive start climbing to the front. Bez and Fernandez followed, with Martin on close pursuit. Marquez encountered a tussle, while Martin surged to the lead. Alex Marquez's remarkable pass earned him second place, leading a scrappy contest. Alex Marquez clinched victory with the fastest lap, while Bez secured a comfortable second and Vinales fought valiantly for third.
I don't know if it's Chat GPT or if it was the notes that was put in there, but that was shit.
Yes. Long story short, Alex Marquez had a really
Terrible.
good. He had a good race, I thought.
Alex Marquez.
I'm
blinding race.
blaming Chat GPT. That's just
yeah.
I'm blaming Ash's
Terrible.
notes.
No, my notes were
I'm
good.
blaming about both.
Alex Marquez was absolutely nails through that.
Yeah,
Did
he
really,
was.
really well. But I was rooting for Bezecchi because I really like Bezecchi.
And you hate the Marquez brothers.
I don't hate them.
You do.
I don't.
You definitely hate Mark Marquez.
I don't hate him. Just think Rossi's better.
You don't like Mark Marquez because of what he did to Rossi. Anyway,
I really enjoyed the sprint
I
because
thought it was great.
It was
I know
good.
Bezecchi was up there, but Bezecchi's not always winning races. But I enjoyed it the fact that, the top 5 was Alex Marquez, Bezecchi, Vinales, Zarco, and Alessio Spargaro. That's not a normal top 5 in MotoGP.
No, it's not.
So, this is genuinely, honestly, this is going to sound strange, but do you know who I was most impressed with in the sprint race?
Hang on, let me try and guess
Fine.
first.
Oh, I'm thinking
Jack
it's
Miller.
gonna be, I was going to
No.
say Zarco.
No.
Go on then.
Augusto Fernandez.
No. I was most impressed with Bagnaia in that race. That's who impressed me the most. Bagnaia. That's who impressed me the most. And I'll explain to you why. Because we've mentioned it before. We mentioned it at the start of the season that riders should, if they're not fast enough or they don't have the feeling, they should go out in a sprint race and treat it like an FP4. That's what they should do. And Bagnaia went out in that race and he obviously didn't have the feeling and he obviously wasn't in the right frame of mind because of the rain, and at no point did he think, or at no point did he get worried or panicked or try and make any silly decisions. I think he realised, I don't have the pace to finish in the top 9, so I'm just going to ride around here, and if I come last, I come last. But
Yes.
like in the sprint race, if you don't finish top 9, you might as well come last. You might as well come last as come 10th.
Yes.
And I think as a world champion, leading the world championship, I think how he handled that race was very professional. He didn't try and throw everything at it. He wasn't feeling any pressure. He just went out there and thought, the worst thing I can do is crash. I'm just going to finish the race. And I
Yes.
thought it was brilliant. I
But,
thought his
yeah, it's
attitude
good.
to that race
But
was
he can
brilliant.
afford
Yeah.
to do it as well, though, can't he? Really?
Yeah, of course he can. But there's other riders who would have went out there and felt that they needed to prove something and felt the pressure, and they would have went out and done something stupid and they would have crashed.
I'll tell you what, though, it's paid off this weekend because it was it Martin and Bezzecchi both crashed in the main race, so he's
They
just
did.
opened up
But
his
that's-
lead even more.
That's why I was even more impressed with it, because if he
Yeah.
had crashed in the sprint, that would have got on his head. And
Yeah.
but he went out in the main race, and even in the main race, like, you could have maybe put more into it and tried to win it. But we'll come to that. But
I like that
Something-
he is becoming the man to beat because I think that is what MotoGP
Yes.
has been missing the last few years is a man to beat.
But that, again, his attitude in that sprint race, even though he didn't finish in the top 9, his attitude, the fact that he finished the race, just shows a level of consistency.
Yes.
And that's why I was impressed with Bagnaia in that race. I thought he went through that race like a proper world champion.
Yes.
He did.
Yeah.
So I know that sounds like a cop out. I was most impressed with the world championship leader, but that's genuinely who impressed me the most. The whole way through the race, I just thought,
I agree with
brilliant.
you. He was good, but I think Alex Marquez definitely deserved that win. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from Alex Marquez. It was absolutely incredible.
He was
It
brilliant.
was
It's-
really, really good.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
was
nice
going-
to see Vinales on the podium as well. Actually,
Yeah, it was. It was.
Well, he had a good weekend. He had a good weekend in general.
He did, yeah.
But he seemed to like Silverstone.
Aprilia did in
Silverstone,
general, actually, didn't they?
Silverstone.
Didn't they have
yeah,
all
brilliant.
4 riders in like the top 6 or something like that?
Top
They did,
5 or
yeah.
6. They almost got 2 riders in the top in the podium for the first time.
Mm.
But then Oliveira and Binder ruined that. towards
Yes.
the end of race 2. Do you want to hear something else about the sprint race? Now, I think this is correct according to the app.
Come on,
It was a wet race on Saturday. It was
Yeah.
very wet. How many people crashed and didn't finish the race?
In
think
the
it's-
sprint race.
Yeah.
How
I'm
many
trying to
people
think back.
crashed?
I don't remember that many crashes.
Do you want to know how many?
I'm trying to think.
Go on.
None. All 22 racers finished.
I was going to
the
say,
race.
I didn't
Really?
think anybody came off.
All like considering how wet it was, considering the weather. According, like I looked at the app. I may be wrong. If I am wrong, you can correct me on it. Send us an email. Tell me I'm stupid.
That's mad,
I was-
considering it's the
I was
sprint
on the
as
app.
well.
It's a sprint. It was wet. All 22 riders finished the race.
Wow, that's good.
Crazy that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But you don't expect it. You expect people to start flying off in the sprint, don't you?
Because I was writing out, I just wrote out top 10s, and then below the top 10 I wrote out the people that didn't finish, the non-finishers, the crashers, and I was doing the sprint race and I went to the bottom of it and I was like, well, who'd crashed? And I don't think anybody crashed.
Mm.
Well, it's good
Incredible.
news.
MotoGP,
Yeah.
sprint, who
Lecuona
came
was last, but he was
Iker
47.
Lecuona.
Yeah.
46, but he didn't crash. Nobody crashed. Even
No.
Mark Marquez finished the race.
Oh, that's good, that, isn't it?
That's because it's a Saturday. He can finish Saturday races. He can do that. It's just Sunday races he can't finish. Honda doesn't like Sundays.
Yes.
Yeah. Should we get into MotoGP main racing?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go into the main race. Do that.
Who's reading this? Am I reading this one?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Is it short notes? It's your fault.
Shut up. Miller charged into first. Bez trailing closely. Martin faced challenges as Bagnaia stole the lead. Alex Marquez battled in fourth and Bez showed resilience. Bagnaia, Bez and Miller exchanged positions with Vinales and Espargaro close behind. Drama unfolded as Marquez and Bez crashed. Espargaro chased Bagnaia and Oliveira surged to third. Rain emerged, prompting pit stops in a stunning final lap. Espargaro claimed victory, followed by Bagnaia and Binder. A thrilling and unpredictable MotoGP race at its finest.
Yeah,
I'm glad you decided to just... I don't know what you did. Did you get your dick out there? I'm not sure.
No, I've got my nipples out, you.
Oh,
My
right.
dick, my dick's not that small. I got
I
my
don't know. I wasn't looking at the screen because I was trying not to laugh. You're just putting me off completely.
Oh, we can
Oh,
never do
you've
this
not been doing
podcast live.
No, you can't.
You've not been. Every time I've spoke tonight, you've been showing me your nipples, flicking your nipples. At one stage, I thought Chippy was trying to show me some sort of lump, like there's something wrong.
I've got
with
two
him there.
spots. I've got 2 spots there. I don't know where they've come
Them are your
from.
nipples, Chippy. Them are your nipples you're talking about. Not spots.
Anyway,
You got it, that's
back to the fucking main race, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Not nipples.
right. Yes.
All right.
Right. Back to the main race.
Alicia Espargaro was amazing in that race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
We've
really,
already
really,
mentioned.
really good. Really,
We've already
really
mentioned
good to
how
watch.
well the Aprilias went around that race.
I
Again,
remember when I was watching it. I think it was like on lap 6 or 7. I looked down at my phone to make a note, as you do, and all of a sudden the pundits were like, the commentators were like, "Oh, Miguel Oliveira's just slotted into third," and I was like, "Where the freaking hell did he come from?" Like he was back in 6th,
Yeah.
and it started raining, and everyone slowed down. He was just like, "Nah." He just
I
went
really
straight
rate him.
past them all. He
I
was
really rate him. I
Really
thi-
good
I
in
think
that
he's-
race.
Yeah, I think he's class. I think he's a really good
And
rider.
he's on the Aprilia as well, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
satellite.
Yeah, he did really, really well. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, Miguel Oliveira is now in third. I was like, what?
at one stage, Brad Binder was like right back in 6th, and then he just seemed
He was,
to
yeah.
like, throw caution to the wind and go for it again. I don't know what.
He does
what
really
the
good in the
problem was.
wet, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, but he seemed to fall back a little bit. Like the rain was affecting him, and then all of a sudden he just surged forward
Went
again.
for it, didn't he?
Because some of them pitted for wets, didn't they? And I was thinking
They
back
did.
to last weekend when Taz stayed out on slicks, and I was just thinking you'd be better off staying out on slicks.
Honestly, that was a terrible decision. But even the pundits were saying the only people that were really like pitting for slicks were the people that had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
like I'm not going to gain anything from staying out, so why
No.
not go in
Yeah.
and hope that it just absolutely buckets down or the sun, whatever.
Mm.
No, they went in and got wets on, did they not? Because the rain came out. They were hoping it would bucket.
There was
Yeah.
only 4 riders that actually put wets on.
Yeah,
That
there
went and got
was.
Yeah.
wets.
Yeah, there was 4
I
riders.
think Di Antonio was one of them.
Yeah. Quattararo had to go in because he lost
Crash,
his fairing,
didn't he?
didn't he, or something? Yeah, and he had to go into the
Oh,
pits
the whole-
anyway, and then just
Yeah,
went out
his
on
whole
other
front
bike.
end was just gone, so he went in and grabbed the spare bike, didn't he?
Yes.
So that's
Shame.
another race where Morbidelli outperformed Quattararo.
Yes, but Morbidelli's the
saying.
one that's getting it in the. Yes.
Yeah, but he has. I looked at it. I think he's 6 points behind Quattararo in the championship. They're
That's
right.
nothing though.
I know.
That is nothing.
There was a Bagnaia. Was
That's
it in
not
that
me.
race that Bagnaia lost his fin as well on the back?
Yes.
Somebody
I think
went
it
into
is.
the back of him and he lost one of the fins off the tail.
Mark
'Cause
Marquez
yes.
lost the fun as well.
It was Mark Marquez because Mark Marquez hit him and the fin just missed his head. It just
Yeah.
went woof.
Yes.
Who was top Honda? He's usually top Honda. He usually has top Honda this season.
Nakagami.
Nakagami was top Honda this season. Who's being kicked out of Honda?
Yes.
Old faithful Nakagami, but he's just like, oh, we can't get rid of anybody else because they're too. I don't know what the problem is.
Yes. Should we get on to Moto 3?
I feel like we're racing through this. Have we not got more to say about Alessio Spargaro winning the race? You know,
Okay,
big him
sorry,
up a little
yes,
bit
let's
more.
go back to
One
that.
of these. Let's just. This is like the main race. This is
I don't
think
really
we're
know,
all-
though.
The problem is we're all itching to speak about Moto 2.
No, you
That's
don't
the
like
issue.
I am.
this, but you don't like the Espargaro brothers.
No, I'm not a fan. I mean, I sort of I follow Alessio Spargaro on like Twitter and that just to see his fit because he's like a mad cyclist. But I don't know. I just don't. I definitely don't like Pol Espargaro. I just think he's really boring and not that good.
The thing is with Alessio is that he tends to complain a lot.
Yeah, he does. It's just something about him. Like it's one of them riders you just can't sort of connect with. Like you just don't have a bond with when you watch him.
I'd agree,
Yeah,
but he
He
did
did-
well.
he had a
this
really
week
good
when he won the
race.
he is
And
a
it
good
was a dry
rider and he
race
did
as
do
well.
well.
Well, there was a little bit of rain, but I don't think the rain was significant enough that you can call it anything other than a dry race. There was a tiny skiff of rain. It barely made any difference by the looks of things. It was a typical English day.
Yes.
Little bit of rain. It's like when you're out playing with your mates when you were a kid and the rain would come out and your mum would shout at you, come in, it's raining, and you'd shout back, it's a sun shower, ma, it's only a sun shower, and you'd stay out with your lollipop. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Again, Vinales came fifth in that one, another good result for him.
Yeah.
He is so hot. He is so hot and cold. Like one race he'd finish third, he'd be up top, finishing third, racing for what seems like the lead, and then next week he'll be in like 15th or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tends
all
to
over
do
the
it quite a
place.
lot.
That was Ash yawning there because
Sorry.
tired.
Yeah, he tends to do that quite a lot.
Right, anyway, while we move on to Moto 3, because you're itching at the bit to get through this, let's go.
Yes.
Moto
Well, I think
3.
we should cane through this as well.
No, I've got plenty to say about Moto 3. We're not caring through
I
this.
think we should
We're not caring through
Right,
this.
should we
No,
start
I've-
with? I think we should start with Scott Ogden. We may as well. I
Right,
mean,
let's
he
start.
was he qualified second on the grid, didn't he?
Yeah, it was really
Yes.
good qualifying.
Like
Really good
unbelievable.
qualifying.
And then ready
I agree,
to
really
start
good qualifying.
to start the warm up lap, and then disaster.
Yes.
He stalls it, and
Pressure got to
And
him.
it,
I agree. The pressure got to him, and he just
Yeah.
lost it.
And
Such
he
a
had to
shame.
go to the back of the
Such a
grid.
fucking shame. Luckily, he went to the back of the grid and he didn't start from pit lane, but it didn't really
Yeah.
help him much.
He got
he went
back.
back to the grid.
Yeah, he got back to the back of the first group, didn't he? And he even got to like sixth or something a couple of times. If he'd have started that
I
race in
don't-
second, he could have got a podium, I think.
I don't know if he got as high as sixth at any time. Did he?
He went far away.
I don't think he was
No,
in
I
six. He was
I'm
quite
pretty
far
sure
back.
he was. No, he wasn't that far back.
I'm not sure if he got to sixth. Like,
I'm sure he
he
did.
did. He didn't even finish in the top 10. I know Moto
Sure he
3's
got
all
to
over the
sixth.
place. I don't think he did get as far as sixth.
Well, I'm sure he
He
did.
finished in 17th. I think the highest he got was maybe 12th.
Nah, I think you're wrong.
I mean,
I think
but then
that's
look
as high as
at
he got.
look at like David Alonso. I mean, he was back in what 18th. He won it.
No. Scott Ogden was last on the grid. In front
Yeah.
of Scott Ogden was David Munoz, and in front of David Munoz was Alonso.
Right, so he was
He
further back
practically-
than that.
He practically started beside Alonso and Munoz. He practically started beside them. Alonso came first, Munoz came fifth. Different class.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I mean,
different class.
that's
like,
such a ride.
Scott
for
Ogden,
Alonso.
and there was a pile of riders from first the whole way back to like 15th, 16th, and he was on the back of it. He was on the back of it, and Masia was just behind him because I think he had crashed off. But Scott Ogden was on the back of it, and at no time did they ever seem to move forward. and get through the crowd. He just doesn't seem to be able to get in and get his elbows out.
Yeah.
And at one stage I thought maybe it's because he's not old enough, he just needs to mature a little bit. But he's 19. And then you've got the likes of Alonso, who's 17. And it's like the young Spanish riders just seem to mature so much younger than the British riders. And
He's
then
Colombian.
Colombian. You can understand how I made that mistake.
Yes.
You can understand how I made that mistake. They're usually Spanish.
Yes.
But,
dumbass.
yeah, dumbass. I know, absolutely dumbass. And I know he's Colombian as well. But I'd imagine, as a Colombian, Spanish is his first language.
Yeah.
Young motorbike rider. He probably spent most of his riding career in Spain.
Yeah.
With the young Spanish riders, so that's you know what I'm getting at anyway.
Yes, yeah.
They seem to be. It's not even that they're better riders, but they seem to be more enveloped in that culture of getting your elbows out and pushing your way through to the front.
Yes.
I don't know what it is with British riders, but they don't seem to have that because Scott Ogden, he was fast enough to get to like the back of that because it was one big giant grip, but he just didn't seem to be able to pull his way through or get himself forward. And I just don't know if maybe he doesn't like the style of riding where you get in and force your way through and get your elbows out.
Maybe. Yeah.
I believe
Yeah,
that was the
for him.
first. I believe that was the first Colombian person to ever win in MotoGP as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know it's
Grand Prix,
Moto3, but the MotoGP as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I'm
that's
pretty
pretty
sure he
cool.
was. It was weird hearing him compare him to Pedro Acosta by saying like he's a rookie in that and getting his first win in that. But I think he could go quite far. That
I
lad.
hope so because
I do as well.
Look, there's not many riders. I know Moto3 it's a lot easier in other classes, but there's not many riders who can start at the back of a grid and then go forward and win.
Yes.
Never mind when you're 17. Like
In your rookie year.
It's phenomenal. That's really, really good.
And he's
Like,
on the
you
Gas
think of-
team, so they must have seen something in him. Because they don't
Like,
just pick. Yeah.
It's not just good; it's phenomenal. The fact that he could do that. Like, again, I don't want to pick on Scott Ogden, but I'm using him as an example. He's the standard. If he's the standard, Alonso's, another world.
Yes.
But it's all right getting to the back of the grip, but you then need to be able to get your way through the grip and push your way through the grip and keep on going through the grip. And like obviously Scott Ogden proved with the qualifying lap that he was fast around Silverstone. He was the second fastest in qualifying. He just couldn't do it on the day. And yes, he made a mistake and had to start from the back row of the grid. But Alonso and Munoz proved that you can get to the front and you can win races from the
you
back of
can.
the grid in Moto3.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I was gutted for Sasaki though. I keep choosing him every time for my prediction. I just want him to be up on the top. He's second again. He's such a great rider. I love how aggressive he is.
Yeah, I do feel a little bit bad for Sasaki because he's just always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yes.
But he is second in the championship. He's not miles behind Holgado.
It's
No.
that consistency in it that's going to do him well.
He's 22 points behind Holgado, so his season's not ruined.
No. But it'd be nice to see him on the top spot. Holgado obviously impressed as usual.
Yes.
Yeah, Masia crashed out halfway
Did.
through the race.
Yeah.
That's another thing about Alonso. Alonso didn't just creep to the front and then just get there in the last lap, the last dying seconds. He was in the front racing for the lead from like halfway through the race. Like he just got to the front.
He
Like,
made quite a
within
big
about-
gap at one point as well.
There was like 15 laps, and I think by like lap 6 or 7, he was in the top group, like within the top 6, racing
Yeah.
for the lead. And then obviously Moto3 style, 1 minute you're first, next minute you're 7th, and he was all over the place as they always are. Yeah, he just timed it perfectly. He just had it on the bike.
I was gutted for Masia. I like Jan
Yeah.
Masia.
Yeah.
And he's the one I picked to win this weekend.
Well, the one I picked didn't win either. In fact, who did you pick, Sam?
Oh God, I don't know who.
Was it Holgado? I think
I
you
can't
picked
even-
Holgado, didn't you?
Yeah,
I
think
probably
you
did pick Holgado. Yeah, I picked Holgado.
I do have a
He
screenshot.
came
of them.
third.
Anna
Yeah, I did
Krasko
pick
didn't get a
Holgado.
point.
No, she didn't.
No, she didn't. I gave blood this week as well. That was something I should have said in the
She-
catch up. I didn't
Anna
see you
Krasko.
there, Ash.
No, because I wasn't there.
I booked to give blood this week, so I will be giving blood in the next couple of weeks down in my local town, because I seen
Good.
you giving blood and I thought I've got to do that. Because
Yeah.
I talked about it last week. I have given blood about 2 or 3 times, well, 3 times in my life, and I thought I'll do that again.
Yes.
I might have to ease off the pints a little bit.
Yes.
Because whoever gets my
Be a
blood
bit
will be a little bit tipsy. got some blood for you. Oh, pissed.
What's that? What have you just given me, Doc? Oh, this is Irish blood.
This is Spanish Excepcional Madre Cerveza blood, you're all. That's twice I've mentioned that beer in the podcast. They should almost give us some money.
But yes, I think I can give blood again next at the end of October, start of November, which is roughly when
I
the
think-
season finishes. So you can come and join me
I
then,
think-
Ash, and
no.
do your forfeit.
I think you can give blood every 3 months.
Yeah, that's when it is for me. Be the end of October.
Is it? Isn't it?
Nah.
Well, that'll be a
Yeah.
good time for you, Ash, to go and give blood. Actually, the season ends midway through November.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
then
I can hang on till
I'm
November.
not doing it. I'm not doing it until the season's ended. So
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll wait until the season's ended, and then you can come with me.
I'm not going with
Yes,
you. I'm
and
not
we'll-
going by myself.
No, because
No,
you
no.
won't do it if you go by yourself. You'll
You're not
fake
going
it.
by yourself, because it will be going live on Facebook and
I'm
it will
going
be on
live.
YouTube.
I'm not being on.
Yeah, it will be.
live.
Yes, it will be. Yes,
Well,
it
I'll,
will be.
I'll
It'll
go
be
there
on-
and
it'll-
verify that he's gone.
There'll be pictures taken. Look, our listeners are wanting to know if you actually give
Oh,
blood. It
yeah.
will be. It will be
Sure
in our
they
social
are.
media. It will be. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not backing out of
And
this.
vice.
I'm not backing
Vice
out of
versa.
it. I'm going to do it, but I'm not being filmed.
Well, there'll be photos taken. If vice versa, and young Chippy has to do the CBT, likewise, there will be videos. There will be
Yeah.
goddamn. There'll be videos of you going on the bike.
Yes,
Sure there will
there
be.
will. And I've even got it
But-
penciled in for like March next year. March, April, May, possibly June, but probably March, April, May next year. That'll be when I'll be doing it if I lose this bet.
Oh, I'm not so sure about that. Who's going to take videos then? Who's going to be filming that?
There'll be somebody there. I'll make sure of it. Don't you worry.
If it's just a CBT, I would feel better if you did it with us present, young Chippy.
I'll just follow him on
That's
the
what I
GTR.
Yeah, he can do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Can we get onto Moto 2? Please, 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 please,
Right, let's
please.
go.
Okay, come
Okay.
on, Chippy, you start.
Okay, well, I'll go off the notes and then we'll get into the main bit that we want to talk about. So, Acosta and Aldeguer set the pace in Moto 2, while Dixon faced setbacks. A chaotic start saw crashes and penalties were issued. Aldeguer claimed first, Canet secured second. That's a shame, he's always finishing second.
Do you know what? I thought he was going to win it at one point.
I did as well, I thought he could finally win, but
Because
he always finishes runner-up.
He had a good, like, nearly 2 second gap at one point.
Yeah.
But then it all just closed in on him, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, what's happened there? He must have cocked up."
Yeah. And Acosta held on to thirds in an intense race where emotions ran high.
Well, we know that the emotions ran high
We
because
do.
after Jake Dixon came off, and obviously him and Darren Binder had it was a very, very small clash. I mean,
It was.
It wasn't anything drastic. It wasn't like when Marquez did Gran Turismo straight into everybody.
No.
It was.
Do you know what it was exactly the same as? You
Go
know, what's his name? Alonso Lopez, when he crashed into Sam Lowe's the other week.
Yes.
It was more or less the same as that. It was.
But I
bad.
don't even think it was as hard.
No,
as
I
that.
disagree with that. Lopez crashed into Sam.
Yes, he
Lowe's.
did.
Like Lopez came from
Yeah,
a
it's,
bit
it's
back,
true actually. Yeah,
and he used Sam Lowe's as a brake.
The Gran
That is
Turismo.
nowhere near the. That is nowhere
No.
near the same. That
This
is
was
nothing
this
near the
was a
same.
little love tap, really.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they were both on the racing line. It's an unfortunate incident. Darren Binder caught his bike when they were both going under, and the front end went.
yeah.
Oh, no, the back end went, didn't it? think it was the back end that went. It had a bit of wobble and the back end went.
Yeah, I think it was actually.
I've watched it back because at the time it happened, you know, emotions are high. You're like, oh my god, and then they show it back, and I thought maybe I'd missed it. I watched it back, and I've watched it 3 or 4 times back, and every time I watch it, I'm just left scratching my head. I'm like, I don't know what Darren Bender done wrong. I honestly don't know what he done wrong. It seems to me that Jack Dixon came hard into the corner, going wide. Darren Bender was just on his line. He was just on his line, and then Jack Dixon tried to cut in and take the nose off him, like he was hoping to get in front of him, and then he hit him. And it's like, well, where was Darren Bender supposed to go? Where was he supposed to go? Just that's. I'll tell you what. I'll just stop during this race. I'll stop and let you in. Well, Jack Dixon was wide. He could have took the corner wide, but if he'd have took the corner wide and missed the apex, he would have lost a couple of places. And well, that's what happens when you go wide.
To me, it is just a racing incident.
It is a racing incident, and once I watch it back, and did Darren Bender actually get a long lap penalty?
You said he did.
He did. Didn't you? Yeah, he did. He got a long lap penalty.
I heard.
So
I
he
heard
had his
the pundit
penalty.
saying he was. But I watch it back, and even then I think it's pretty harsh giving him a long lap.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's harsh giving him a long lap penalty for that, because I don't think he deserved a long lap penalty.
No.
And this isn't me trying to, jump in the let's all hate Jack Dixon bandwagon. This is me generally from a fan, like not any particular fan, but a racing fan's point of view. I look at that and I'm thinking, why has he been given a long lap penalty? Like Lopez on Sam Lowes, yes, Lopez.
Yeah, that was hard. That was hard.
Yeah, that way he went in too hard. He got his braking wrong. He was all over the place. Sam Lowes was on the line. Lopez was trying to take the inside, and he knocked him off.
Yeah.
At the first race of the season, Marini tried to go in too hard to Bastianini, and then he slid off. He lost the front. Even if he had stayed on but just tapped Bastianini, he was in the wrong. He was coming in too hard. Darren Bender wasn't trying to pass Jack Dixon. Jack Dixon was trying to pass Darren Bender. And I know this idea, I was in front of you. That's fair enough, but where was Darren Bender supposed to go? What was he supposed to do? He was mid-corner. He can't pick it up. He can't stop. You can't brake during the corner, can you? Can you pull a brake?
No, you never brake on a corner. No.
Of course you can't. You're on your racing line. All he could do was keep his racing line. Jack Dixon was the one that was off the racing line trying to come back onto the racing line. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a racing incident. But if blame has to go anywhere,
yes,
where this is going, it's maybe Jack Dixon's own fault.
Yes.
Well, saying that, it's a racing incident.
Like
that sort of stuff happens.
We wouldn't have even been talking about this if it wasn't for his interview after.
Yes, so
it's the interview that's brought this to light.
Right, let me ask you another question. Let me ask you a question. Imagine you heard the interview before you seen the incident. What would you think?
I'd be expecting a T-bone.
You'd be thinking Lopez on Sam Lowes.
And this is
maybe even worse.
I mean, as you two both
you'd be thinking Mark Marquez just forgot where his brakes is again and decided to run into somebody. That's what you'd be thinking. Just for the listeners, I'm being facetious because Chippy hates it whenever we pick him.
I've already made that comment of this isn't Mark Marquez doing a Gran Turismo.
Okay then, Ash. I'll not make that joke ever again because you said it.
Yeah, I already said it. You weren't here.
Yes,
but as we know, there was an interview after with Jake Dixon, and you both know that I am a fan of Jake Dixon. And as soon as I seen this interview happening, my head was in my hands, and I'm just thinking, you silly, silly, silly man, what are you doing? I mean,
talking himself out of a MotoGP ride. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, if I was MotoGP teams looking at that, I'd be thinking, we don't want this guy. Like,
also, he said in his sorry to cut you off. He said in his in one of his little rants. He says, you've ruined my championship, which says he's only 50 points behind it with half the season to go. That says more about his mentality that he's given up when he's only 50 points behind. Nobody wants somebody like that. If you've
52,
got
I think.
Yeah, if you've got a mathematical chance of winning, you should be thinking, this is my championship. I'm going for this.
It's the fact that he was
Well,
there
he went
shouting.
into ban him.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Ban him. Ban him for what? For a racing incident. You can't ban him for that.
A racing
No.
incident that, well, in my opinion, was more Jack Dixon's fault. I don't want to be too hard on Jack Dixon because I've got my own little analogy in this. Right, this is going off topic, but this is how I think he feels right now. A few years ago, by a few years ago, I mean nearly 20 years ago, a long time ago. I was young and stupid. I went out and got absolutely blathered, and there was a good friend of mine, somebody that's close to me, and me and him kicked the shit at each other basically all night, and I couldn't remember a thing. I just got flashbacks from it, and I woke up the next morning and I just felt absolute shame. You know what them hangovers?
Yeah.
You just feel shame. You just think, oh my god, and you guys know how many stupid things I've done. This was probably one of the worst. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know how stupid I get when I get drunk sometimes. I was just there, my head in my hands, and I can remember another friend of mine coming to my door with a box of beer, and he said, I'm guessing you need a beer, but you don't want to go to the beer, so I'll bring the beer to you. And I was like, that was brilliant, because I was just felt so shit. I just felt so ashamed of myself. I just felt so stupid. Just some stupid crap I done when I was drunk. And I spent the whole day in the house with my head in my hands, just hating life, thinking, what did I do that for? And then eventually I got a beer and cheered up a little bit. And me and that friend talked over, and he said the same thing. I spent all day just feeling like shit. And I guarantee you that's how Jack Dixon feels now. I guarantee that's how he feels.
He should
He's
not
got
have done
his
that
head-
interview straight after
He's
the
got
incident.
he's got his head in his hands, and he's thinking, why did I say that? Why have I done that? And
Yeah.
I guess the best thing we can do is next week nobody's going to care.
Well,
Yes. We'll talk about
I
it
think
now.
personally, I think Jake Dixon should do a bit of damage control and maybe come out and apologise.
I think there'll be an interview.
I think he should.
Yeah, I think there'll be an interview before his next race with TNT, and he'll probably say, I was a bit hot-headed, you came to me straight after the incident.
Yeah, it was a
I
daft
wasn't
time to
thinking
go and
straight.
speak to him. He's
Yeah.
literally just been, like, as he thinks, well, whatever happened, knocked off his bike.
Yeah.
He's absolutely raging. He's obviously we heard him go into his pit, throwing his gloves, swearing. You know, he's going to be annoyed, and he's just. They shouldn't have grabbed him at that time. They should have waited till after the race.
But even before the interview, because I wasn't watching it on TNT, I was watching it on the app because, like I said, I was away for the weekend with my family. So, and the internet where I was terrible. So I wasn't watching it live. I could only watch it at certain times. I was actually at a little crappy disco that the kids were at, watching it, being very antisocial, watching the whole time. But I saw him walk in, like the cameras followed him. He walked into his team and he punched the wall, like "Urgh," and it was almost like he was pretending to be angry so that he could like "Urgh, look, I'm really frustrated by this. Urgh, look at me, I'm cross." And I thought, what are you cross for? You were 18th. You know, you were 18th. You weren't. You didn't exactly lose anything.
That's another thing which you mentioned to me in our chat. You said he says he's cost him the championship, but yeah, he was like 18th anyway. He didn't lose any points. I mean, yeah, I suppose he had the whole race to get back up there, but if he'd have finished where he was, he'd have got no points anyway.
Well, I've been thinking about this. Whenever he crashed and he was in 18th, Sam Lowes was in 15th. The lap after that, Sam Lowes got fastest lap of the race. And maybe not consistently lap in, lap out, but fairly consistently through the race, Sam Lowes was the fastest rider on the track. So basically what I'm getting at was he wouldn't have caught Sam Lowes and he wouldn't have got close to Sam Lowes. Sam Lowes finished 8th. So I reckon at very best, Jack Dixon could maybe have got 10th, 11th place. That's where you're talking. And you're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 points he could have gained.
Yes.
Losing 5 or 6 points isn't exactly ruining his championship. Before Silverstone, he was 44 points behind the leader. He's now 52 points behind the leader. Admittedly, it's an 8-point difference, but it's hardly the end of the world.
Yes.
When we're still not even at the halfway point of the championship. That's next round, but we're near the halfway point. But we're still not even at the halfway point. To stand there and say he ruined my championship, and then he said he ruins everybody's championship.
Yeah.
Ban him.
Well, what I'm going to do
Come
is
on.
I'm going to read out the entire interview, if you're all right with that,
Oh,
Chippy.
do we?
Yes. Go for
I'm
it.
going to
Can you do
read
it
out the
in-
entire...
Can you do it in his voice?
I'll try my
Can you
hardest.
sound like you're crying while you're saying it?
So I'm going to read this out for our listeners because they might not
No,
have seen
by
it.
the way, we all support Brits.
We do.
We all support the Brit. I always support the Brits. In my opinion, Jack Dixon, even before this round, makes it pretty hard. Basically,
Yes.
I don't really like him very much, but I will always support Brits. Ash, you're like a diehard Dixon fan, aren't you?
Well, I still think he's our best chance of having a Brit in MotoGP. I do.
Right, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a minute. You read out the interview.
I'll read out the interview. So, this is what he said after he got knocked off. Honestly, sometimes I don't understand what this guy is doing. He can clearly see that I'm past him. Use your brain. I'm faster than you. I'm going to pull us forwards. Don't ram me. You're going to listen to this. You've ruined my championship. You ruin everyone's championships, mate. You're an absolute idiot. I'm absolutely raging. We put so much hard work in. I made a mistake yesterday, but he's just an absolute clown. I'm sick to death of it when you're around people like him. Ban him. It's stupid. He does it to everyone. How many times has he done it? I'm not exaggerating. He does it all the time. And that was the entire interview. And Chippy, I'm not going to read out the bits you just typed, because that is not what he said.
The bit where he says, I'm not exaggerating, I thought, well, you kind of are.
And this is why I'm gutted that he's done it, because I really like him. I think he's definitely got the potential to be in MotoGP as a British rider in MotoGP, but doing stuff like this is not going to help him at all. And I hope he does a bit of damage control, he calms down and comes back next race and he puts a good, I don't know, at least gets a
But
podium.
on the chat, whenever it happened, at the time I had barely any internet and I could see what you were saying, and you were almost blaming Neil Hodgins for it. You were saying Neil Hodgins
I
should be
wasn't.
interviewed.
Chippy was.
Well, yeah, I thought
Yeah,
it was because he's his mate and
Yeah.
they go golfing and stuff
Okay.
together.
Okay, Chippy said it, but I'm pretty sure that you swiped right and said something like, "Oh, I'm glad we're both on the same page."
No,
Like, as
as
if you
in,
agreed with
I agreed with the fact that they should have waited to interview him. That's what I agree with the fact of.
But TNT, which was BT Sports, as like the British home of, well, at the very least, MotoGP. It's British commentators, and they're always close to the British riders. And any time a British rider crashes or something like this happens, they'll have a microphone in their face, because I would imagine, this is how I take it, this is how I see it, I would imagine the TNT, Neil Hodgins, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, he can tweet me and call me an absolute bell end if he wants. In fact, he should do that because I might get more followers anyway. Genuinely, I would imagine that putting the microphone in front of him, they were probably thinking that it was an opportunity for Jack Dixon just to humbly come out and say, I'm really sorry for everybody that turned up to watch me this weekend. I had a bad weekend. I'm really, really sorry. That would have
Yes.
been I'm sorry I got off to a bad start and crashed in qualifying. I'm sorry, I know when it comes to MotoGP, whether it be Moto3, Moto2 or MotoGP, I'm the man you've come to see. He bears that on his shoulders. He is the man everybody's coming to see in terms of a British rider. Maybe Sam Lowe's, but when it comes to title opportunity, Jack Dixon is the guy we're coming to see. The guy they will see. He should have went out there, and I think that's what they were expecting him to do. Just come out and be like, look, I'm really sorry. You came the whole way. You sat through the rain. He's endured the British summer to come and see me race. I've let you down. And then everybody would have been like, no, you've not let us down, mate. You know, you're still in the
Yes.
fight. Yeah.
Yes.
Come on.
With a lot
keep
more
strong
dignity.
up. And he just, like a child, like an absolute child.
But I think
And
you're right.
I
He's going to be thinking, I've
Yeah.
messed up here.
I honestly think Neil Hodgins was probably standing there thinking he wanted to take the microphone away from him, but he can't do that, because if he does that,
At the end of the day,
TNT.
they're a news media outlet thing. They're looking for a
He's
story.
a journalist.
Yeah, they're
He's a journalist.
looking for
That's
the
it.
stories. They're looking to get.
It's like when you watch football and somebody gets a red card and they're absolutely seething, and you've got like Gary Neville, whoever it is, poking him in the chest. Like, go on, say something stupid. Go on, say something dopey. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's what Neil Hodgins was doing. That's not what he's doing. But he is essentially. He's an ex-writer. I know he's been there and he's done it. But when he's got the microphone in his hand, he's a journalist.
Yes.
That's kind of what he's there to do. I do actually feel for Jack Dixon this week, because
I do.
well done, stupid.
But he's really let himself down with that interview. Can you also call him Neil Hodgson, because that is his name, not Hodgins? And you've done this since episode 1 of the podcast.
Well, why are you only telling me now? Neil what? Neil Hodgins.
Hodgson.
That's what I'm saying, Hodgins. Neil Hodgson.
Hodgson, yes.
Hodgins.
Hodgson.
I've always called him Hodgins. Hodgson. Old Neely Nail. Neil
Yes.
Hodgins. Hodgins.
Hodgins.
It's just like phosphorus all over again.
No, it's like frenulum.
Well, here's a question for you. Why have you waited 24 fucking episodes to tell me that?
Because it's funny.
And we
'Cause I haven't got the heart to tell
25
you.
weeks.
Yo, you'd
That's
have the heart
bigger
to
than
tell
Samson.
me, though.
Well,
Oh
that's
yeah,
like
I enjoy telling you when you're wrong.
that's like in The Simpsons when the old dude's been playing an umbrella and he's like, I've been playing an umbrella all these years, why didn't anybody tell me? We all thought it was funny. Anyway, Neil Hodgson's.
It's close enough.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Anyway,
Back to what you were saying, Ash.
Oh, God,
You
I
still think
think.
Jack Dixon is our best opportunity to have a British rider in MotoGP?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes.
no.
Now, I don't disagree with you. Jack Dixon is our best opportunity to have a British rider in MotoGP.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, why do we need to have a British rider in MotoGP just for the sake of it? Is that it? Just for the sake of it? Just so we can have somebody to watch in MotoGP?
I just think
I've said this. You think what?
I just think
You think he's going to go to MotoGP and just start winning?
It's a good thing to have a Brit in MotoGP. We haven't had a Brit since Cal
Would it not be
Crutchlow.
would it not be a better thing to have a Brit win a championship and then actually be able to say, yes, we've had a
Oh,
championship
we do
winner?
this every week.
No, but I'm with
well,
Sam
so-
on this. Would
It's
you
a
not
no,
rather
We do this
watch?
every week.
Would you not rather watch a Brit
But
in a World Championship battle rather than just
Be
watching somebody
competitive.
LCR Honda?
We've got
just-
one in a World
going-
Championship battle.
No, like
Yes, Jack Dixon.
Yes.
no, but
Yes,
I mean,
and
would you not
Moto2.
rather watch that than just watching him ride at the back of the MotoGP?
Yeah, but who's to say he's going to be at the back of the MotoGP?
Oh, he will be.
You don't know
Right.
this.
He
He
will.
might not be coming last. He might not be coming last, but
He'll be battling for 50.
how long? I don't. Again, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but let's just say that over the years, I've been fair. My predictions have been fairly close because you can kind of tell at the start of the year who's going to do well and blah blah blah. You know, you know who's going to be up there.
Blah, blah, blah.
Jack Dixon, first and foremost, he's not Spanish or Italian, so he's not going to get a top ride straight away, which means he's going to have to get in there and he's going to have to grind for a couple of years to get a decent bike that can win in the championship. And by that time, he's going to be in his early 30s. And whilst he's doing that, there's going to be the likes of, whilst he's doing that, let me see. Whilst he's grinding and trying to get his way up into MotoGP, into a decent bike, there's going to be the likes of Alonso turn up, who's in Moto3 now, and in 4 or 5 years' time, he's going to be going for a MotoGP ride. And by the looks of things, 17-year-old Colombian who can win a race from the back of the grid in Moto3 in his rookie season. He's going places, and he's going to jump straight into a factory ride, the way they did with Quartararo, because Quartararo won a couple of like Europe or Spanish championships, is what even the pundits say is like a junior world championship. Never won a race in Moto3, won one race in Moto2, but because they had already signposted him for MotoGP from the time he was like 14, he just fast-tracked into MotoGP. And the likes of Alonso and that's going to do exactly the same. And where's Jack Dixon going to be? He's going to struggle to get a ride in MotoGP. He's going to struggle to get into the top 10 because he's not going to be at a decent bike. And whenever he does get the experience, he's not going to get a bike because he'll be too old. And then he'll just go backwards. And that's what will happen, where he could stay in Moto2 and make a fight of it and actually become a champion. Danny Kent was in Moto2, he went from Moto3 to Moto2 and he struggled in Moto2 and he went back to Moto3 and became a champion. If he hadn't went back to Moto3 and stayed in Moto2 because of pride, or maybe even tried to go to MotoGP just because he could have, we wouldn't have got a champion. Now I may be selfish as a fan, I may be looking at it selfishly and say I would rather have a champion than see Jack Dixon in MotoGP, but I would rather have a champion in Moto2 than just see a Brett just turn up with MotoGP. That's my opinion.
I'm with Sam.
No, I understand what you're saying, but if he gets offered a ride in MotoGP, he's going to take it.
Yeah, you will.
Yes,
he
will.
And then we'll have a British MotoGP anyway. So,
and I don't disagree with that because it's the be all and end all to be in MotoGP.
Of course it is. Everybody wants to be in MotoGP.
Like I tell you, like I said, I'm being selfish in the fact that I would rather see him win Moto2, and then as a fan of British riders,
he might win Moto2 this year.
He won't.
He might win Moto2 this year, but the trouble is, by the time if he does win Moto2 and says no to a MotoGP ride in the anticipation of win Moto2 next year, the rides will have gone. He'll be a champion, and then he'll have to be a 2 times champion, or you know what I mean. He'll have to do that. It's a tightrope. It's a tightrope he's on. Should he go to MotoGP? Probably should. But if he goes to MotoGP, is it kind of admitting that he feels he can't even win Moto2? Possibly.
Well,
as a selfish fan, and that's me being a selfish fan, I would rather see him win Moto2. But
I'd like to see him
as being selfish in my point.
I'd like to see him MotoGP. There you go. That's my opinion.
Come on, give us something. Don't just say that's my opinion. Fight for him. Come on, tell me something.
What ride do you think he's going to get?
Explain to me why you think he's going to win MotoGP.
I'd
rather just going, hey, goes
LCR Honda. LCR Honda, he's been in talks with them, has he not?
There's rumours. It's looking unlikely.
LCR Honda. I think LCR Honda would be the best fit for him, and it's because they've got experience with Carl Crutchlow. So it comes to like the language barrier. They're used to British rider, English rider. They're maybe used to that sort of style. He's got at least he tries to have the same sort of tongue in cheek as Carl Crutchlow, so he's coming with the same sort of attitude. But it looks like somebody else might be going to LCR Honda. maybe a little bit better than Jack Dixon.
No, I just think he would do. I think he would do okay in MotoGP. I do.
I think if he goes to MotoGP, he's going to the nosebleeds of bikes.
Yeah.
I think the only way he's getting into MotoGP is if he jumps on a. Yeah. Well. At the minute, the bikes are not doing very well, or Honda and Yamaha. And who knows, 2 or 3 years from now, they could manufacture a bike that's incredible because they're Honda and Yamaha. But Jack Dixon doesn't have time. That's the problem. He's 27 now. He doesn't have the time.
All these teams want the next young. They're going to be going after.
They want somebody that can not just win a championship. They want somebody that can be marketable for years and give them some, you know. And
it's just as a fan, I want to see a Brit in MotoGP.
I do too, but I want to see a competitive Brit.
Yeah, as a fan, I want to see a Brit turn up and win races. I don't care if he's in Moto3, Moto2 or MotoGP. I would rather go and stand at the side of Silverstone track on a rainy day and watch Jack Dixon win Moto2 than I would watch him come 10th in MotoGP. because, in my opinion, Moto2 is the best championship in the world. That's my opinion. It's the best championship in the world. Chappie's got to
I
go.
don't know about that. Don't know about that.
Yeah. Right. What's the best championship in the world then?
It's got to be MotoGP, hasn't it? It's got to be.
Why?
Because it's the best of the best. MotoGP
Okay.
is the best of the best, and that's why it's got to be the best. I enjoy watching. I have been getting more into BSB, and I do enjoy watching the BSB. I think it's really, really good. But for me, because that's what I started watching, and that's what I'm more cling on to, I'd say MotoGP.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think MotoGP, in my opinion, is more exciting than BSB. BSB is exciting. I think MotoGP is more exciting because I like the bigger, wider tracks. I like the fact that they go the whole way around the world and they don't just do like little go-kart tracks in Scotland that take about 10 seconds to go around. I like that.
I like Knockhill. Knockhill was great.
But 54, is it 50? No, it's 47.
Do you know what's
seconds.
great about
Come
it?
on.
You're always seeing a bike in front of you. You're never not seeing a bike. That's what's brilliant about it.
But when it comes to MotoGP, I think Moto2 is a better championship. I think it's a more exciting championship. Obviously, you're right. MotoGP, larger bikes, arguably better riders, best of the best. It's got the spectacle, but Moto2 is a better championship, in my opinion. Right, we asked the question earlier to wrap this up. Should Darren Binder get a lifetime ban? Should he be banned?
No, he should not
No.
be banned. No,
he should not.
absolutely not.
He shouldn't be banned. We've come to the end of this. This weekend, do you think the Brits handled the pressure?
No.
They absolutely
I
flopped.
I would argue that Sam Lowes did quite well.
Yeah, he did. He did actually quite
as well
Sam Lowes.
as well as you'd expect him to do. But
Oh, he got the
Sam
fastest
Lowes-
laps in that, didn't he? So he actually
He did,
performed
yeah.
quite well. He just didn't get the end result.
No.
They did that. They did that press conference to say that Triumph is going to be in Moto2 for the next 5 years. Come to 2029. They did that, and they were saying that they've got the standings for all the riders, depending on who's got the most fastest laps. And currently, Sam Lowes is in third.
What is going on with your audio?
Can you not hear me?
No, we
I can
can.
hear you.
It's
It's
just
just
gone
gone really
different
weird.
because you're taking your headphone out. I think
Can
now.
you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, I
but
can
I'm
hear
now
you.
thinking that your input has changed. I now think you may be coming through your microphone, where before on Discord, I think you're coming through your headphones.
My headphones just started to die, so what I did was took one out to try
Yes.
and charge it.
Yeah.
Now we're back through the
That's better.
headphones.
Alright, so you couldn't hear me there for a while.
No, we
No,
can hear
we could
you.
have just sounded
It was
different.
just really weird.
Oh, did it? Okay, right. So I'll keep them in. Yeah,
Edit that bit out.
I forget what I was talking about anyway. But there you go.
Yeah.
something-
That down.
Sorry.
Go on, Chippy. No, go.
Something I do miss is Darren Binder doing well. Because do you remember when he was in Moto 3? And I just love seeing him near the front because you knew it was just going to be carnage. He was going to be elbows out. He was going to be aggressive. I love Darren Binder. I think Darren Binder's class.
Yeah.
I love him. And he's a cool guy.
Yeah, but people gave him a bad rep. People were like calling him dive bomb,
Yeah.
Binder, and people were suggesting that it was ruining people's race. People were suggesting that, and it maybe
What
got
about
to
Jay
his
Dixon?
head because you think about you go to World Superbikes and think about Garrett Gerloff. He had a few seasons ago, maybe last season or the season before, he seemed to be doing quite well. And then he went out and took Toprak out, his own fucking teammate, took Toprak out, and then it was like people were talking about him being too aggressive, and then he just went backwards. This is when he was on the Yamaha. He just went backwards, and he said himself he was worried about getting too aggressive and taking people out. And like, you can only some people are different, but you can only reassure yourself so much until eventually. Well, I guess what I'm going to say is, in a sort of pink hair, he/him sort of style. Words hurt, man. You know what I mean? Eventually, words just hurt. You just that's that, man. You can only say it so much before it gets under the skin.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's true. Maybe it's just got to him a little bit, the fact that... And I can imagine that some stroppy British rider coming out saying, ruin my championship, ruins everybody's championship. He's such a cunt. Ban him. He doesn't say that, but that's
This is almost a family show.
Yeah, it's almost. Is this suitable for kids? Tick no.
Anyway.
No, but... right. MotoGP. Back to this. I'm going to just go and ask you quickly. You've seen the picture. Bagnaia did exceed track limits. Was his tyres on the green?
I'll be honest with you.
Considering...
I haven't actually seen this.
No, I haven't either.
I've not seen it.
Send me the picture and I'll make a judgment.
I'll
here
hate
and
going
now.
to Facebook and try and find it.
I haven't even heard about this.
How have you not seen it?
I haven't seen it either.
Right, how long? 158.
137 likes on my dashcam video. Everybody agrees with me. Anyway.
I don't know where I can't remember where I've seen this picture. I thought you would have seen it.
No, I haven't even heard about this.
Bagnaia was on the fucking green, man. Like,
hang on.
compared to what Brad Binder was reprimanded for a few rounds ago.
I'll send you the picture. But yeah, apparently no, what do they call it? The triggers or whatever it is. On
Yeah, there
the,
was no, but they can't look at it and be like, oh yeah, but he's definitely on the green.
But this is the picture. I've just sent it.
Yeah, that's it.
He's definitely on the green there. Or maybe his
Yeah.
front wheel's just wheeling and not quite touching. But
if I've seen a picture, so I've seen a picture on Facebook that shows you that picture, and then below it shows you Brad Binder's picture, and Brad Binder was given a long lap penalty because of it, and that is exactly the same. I don't care what they say. He's on the green. He's on the green there, man. And then they're saying there's no sensors there. There's no sensors, and it's like, well, I don't care. He's on the green.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is
So
on the green, definitely.
Does the powers that be at MotoGP just decide who they're gonna give penalties to and
I
who they're
guess
not
so.
gonna give penalties to? I guess because Bagnaia is like Italian. That's okay. He can ride in the green. That's fine. You're allowed to.
I guess.
yes.
Well, we've had issues with the track limits before on the long lap penalties, haven't we, and stuff like that. So where they haven't called it out when it's obviously been in the limit. What
It's
are you
just a
going to
bit of
do?
a joke, man.
It is. But what are you going to do?
It's
Maybe
like
they should-
VAR,
maybe should-
it's
maybe
like,
should
why
get
you not being
VAR?
consistent with it? Well, it's supposed to be the VAR of
I know, but
motorbikes.
then you see VAR sometimes and you think, well, we're splitting cock hairs here. But that is clearly in the
Yes.
green. Shall we get on to... Have we talked about silly season? We haven't got to talk about silly season yet, have we?
Nicola's just looking at me like, what are you doing? I thought you were doing a podcast. So the first one I've got was what I heard at the weekend. Marc Marquez to partner brother Alex at Gresini Ducati.
Oh,
I mean, this Gresini Ducati seat is getting a lot of speculation.
it is.
Because obviously it's a Ducati seat. It's going to be well sought after.
Is this
Everybody's linked with it.
Is this the DG Antonio scene?
Yes.
Where's
So
he
there's-
going?
He's going to World Supers by the sounds of it.
Was that been? Yeah, but it's not been.
It's not been confirmed, I don't think, but it sounds like he's going there. There's been a lot of people linked with this seat. I think Morbidelli, Tony Arbolino, Marc Marquez.
Yeah,
There's loads.
I honestly think Morbidelli. Can we talk about it now, or do you want to wait?
No, we can talk about it now.
I think the way the dominoes are falling, Morbidelli's going to end up in VR46. I think
Do you
that's what's
reckon?
gonna happen.
I think he's going to
I
get to
think-
RCR Honda.
I think Johan Zarco will go to LCR Honda. I think Bez will go to Pramac Ducati, and that'll leave the seat open for Morbidelli to go to VR46 Ducati.
I kind of hope that happens.
Yeah, that's the way I'd like the dominoes to fall. I don't know why it is, but whenever I hear Johan Zarco to LCR Honda, let's be honest, I like Zarco, but I can never see him being MotoGP champion.
No.
And it pains me to say that because I really do like Zarco and I'd love him to be the champion. But there's something, whenever I say Zarco, LCR Honda, there's just something about that match. It just gives me a little tingle. It just makes me feel like that's really suited to them. They are both really suited, and I think it comes back to that whole Carl Crutchlow thing because they were both teammates at Tech 3 Yamaha.
Yes.
And it just seems to be that's the right fit for Zarco. Pramac Ducati, in my opinion, is a good fit for Zarco. Personally, I think as a Zarco fan, I would like him to stay where he's at. But if he's going to move, or if he's going to be pushed out, I think LCR Honda's a good fit for him.
Yes. Well, just quickly going to LCR Honda. Apparently, it was almost a done deal for Iker Lecuona to be taking that seat that Alex Rins has left. But now, well, what I've heard at the weekend is Morbidelli is going to be taking that one. But obviously, you think different, and I kind of want your version of events to happen.
To say what I think, mine's not going off any sort of. It's not going off any sort of investigation. It's not going off anything other than speculation. It's just that I know that Morbidelli is friends with and kind of mentored by Valentino Rossi.
Yes.
I know that Bezzecchi, as much as he likes the VR46 family, wants a factory ride, and Ducati have basically said that they're not going to give him one in VR46.
Yes.
He wants a factory ride, and I know that Johan Zarco is under pressure to be taken out of Pramac Ducati to be given to a quote-unquote better rider, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because he's like 4th or 5th in the championship, he's as good as they come, really. So it leaves that sort of, it's like one of them little puzzles. It's like Johan Zarco can go to LCR Honda, Bez can go to Pramac Ducati, he stays in the Ducati, gets a 2024 Desmond Chieti, and then there's a space for Morbidelli to go into VR46 under his mentor.
Yes.
Valentino Rossi. He's on a Ducati, he's where he should be. Good bike, good team, fast rider.
I agree.
It just leaves Yamaha open. But what the fuck do we know?
Yes.
Dude with a microphone, man, talk shite.
Talking shite.
The only other thing I've put on here is it's now the start of Moto2 and Moto3 silly season. Which riders would you promote to a better class or better team?
Well,
Like who in Moto2 would I move up?
Well, I was thinking more of who in
Moto-
Moto3 would you move to Moto2?
Or who
I
in
reckon,
Moto3 would I move to Moto2?
David Alonso into the Gas Moto2 ride.
To replace Jake Dixon?
Yeah, Jay Dixon up to MotoGP.
No, I think Alonso needs another year in Moto3.
Yeah,
He probably
I
does,
do.
but
I think
And
he's a rookie in Moto3. I think it's too soon because this is a problem with the sport, especially in the MotoGP paddock. As I see it, they just rush young riders up too quick. And
Yes.
Quartararo's the example, and I know Quartararo's won a championship, but from whenever he won the Spanish championship, which the pundits basically say is like a junior world championship, so he was like 14, 15. They were already talking about him being in MotoGP. They were already talking about him being there.
Yeah.
Rushed him through Moto3, they rushed him through Moto2, they got him into MotoGP. Yes, he won a championship, so it might have been worth it, but I think young rider 17, Alonso, it's his rookie year in Moto3. Let him stay in Moto3. Even if he doesn't win the championship, let him come to terms with racing for a championship at the world level.
Yes.
Let him experience that, then move him into Moto2. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
no.
So I think
Who
they've got.
is-
I think.
Sorry, who is
Sorry, go
Jake
ahead.
Dixon's teammate? This shit, I can't think who it is.
Oh.
Was it him who won the Moto3 Championship last year? Guevara, Izan Guevara.
So you got the Gas Aspar team. Guevara.
I
Ivan
think
Guevara.
he'll stay another year. I think they'll give him another year, and if he hasn't done anything, they'll move Alonso to replace him.
Guevara is 29th in the championship.
But it is his
With
rookie
no
year in
points.
Moto2.
Yes. Okay, understandable. This is rookie year.
Yeah.
I think Alonso should stay in Moto3. I think the sort of riders you're talking about moving up as Holgado will probably move up.
Yeah. Jaume Masia.
Jaume Masia, maybe the likes. I'm just picking the people out from the top here. You've got Artola and Onchu. There's David Munoz. This is his first full year in
Yeah.
Moto3. Second year.
I think give him another year. Get him on a
think
better
give him another
bike.
year.
Get him on a better bike and a better team.
Do you know who I think? And I know we've mentioned this before with Jack Dixon as he goes better and bigger bikes. But do you know who I think shouldn't spend too long on Moto3, and that is Scott Ogden. I don't think he should spend too long on Moto3 because this week to me shows that I don't think he's the sort of rider who deals well with the whole elbows out, push your way through, get to the front sort of style. Because Moto3's fucking hectic, let's be honest. It's all over the place. I think in a more sort of mature riding style, Moto2, MotoGP's maybe a bit too far ahead, but I think Scott Ogden would, and he's quite a big lad, isn't he? Is he not long and gangly? So he might be better in a Moto2 bike. But whether he's going to get moved up there, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, what we talked about again?
Yes. Moto2, 3, silly season. Yes. I don't know which Moto2 riders I'd put in a better team. Barry Bautas, I quite like him. He's only like 17, and he's sort of pushing towards the top end now. Maybe get him in a better team at some point.
Xavi Vietti.
He's already in a good team. He's in the VR46 team, isn't he? He's had his chance.
Oh, it's Fanatic Racing. What's that?
Who's that?
Vietti.
Vietti, yeah.
Is
Fanatic Racing.
I thought he was in the
Fantic.
VR46.
Fantic Racing.
I haven't got it on my screen.
Fantic, sorry. Yeah, Fantic
Is that
Racing,
the
sorry, excuse me.
VR46 team?
No, the VR46 team is Gonzalez. The VR46 Master Camp.
Ah. I'm not sure.
Should we get on to the predictions then for BSB?
Yes, Thruxton this weekend.
It is Thruxton. Sam, do you want to go first?
So I would like to highlight a little point before we go into these predictions. A, because I want to add a point. I want to bring a point up. And B, I want to drag the show out a little bit because Chippy seems uncomfortable. He has to keep telling his wife why he's sitting up so late. So I'm going to keep talking.
I really don't want to drag it out because it's freaking 11 as it is.
Oh no, you're going to be annoying Ash more than me.
Yeah, well, who cares? God forbid Ash has to get up at 7:30. Fuck off, 7:30. Jesus, you only need 6 hours sleep. Right. So a few weeks ago, whenever you weren't in the podcast, Chippy, you did a little pre-recording. I edited a bit out because it didn't need to be in there because I wasn't making the point you thought I was making. But basically the point you made was that the reason you think British Superbikes is more competitive is because whenever we make our predictions, we always pick different people and it's never the same people over and over again, and that's how you know British Superbikes is more competitive.
I know where this is going.
So who have we got? It's not like, oh, look at all these names, they're so different. Bullshit. So I have gone with Glenn Irwin, who just happens to be on a fucking Paul Bird Ducati, second in the championship. Who have you gone with, Ash?
I've gone with Tommy Bradwell.
Surprise, surprise. Tommy Bridewell has won the last 5 dry races, 5 out of 6. Who's on a Paul Bird Ducati? Oh, it's so unpredictable. Who have you gone with, Chippy?
Well, I like Thruxton because I think it throws up some weird results. So I've gone with Jason O'Halloran.
Yes,
this one.
okay. So for race 2, who have you gone with, Chippy?
I've gone with Kyle Ryde.
Also one of the 5 previous race winners in British Superbikes.
He hasn't won in a while, though.
No, he hasn't actually.
Who have you gone with, Ash?
Glenn Irwin.
Oh, what a shock. He's second in the championship. It's so unpredictable. And I've gone with Tommy Bridewell. And so who have you gone with in the last race, Chippy? The unpredictable championship. Who have you gone with?
I've gone with Tommy Bridewell.
Oh, the championship leader. It's so unpredictable. Who have you gone with, Ash?
Jason O'Halloran. But I've just read the bottom one that Chippy put in. I nearly thought about putting Charlie in, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I put down the bottom. I'm predicting Charlie Nesbitt could get a podium because it's his home race. And as I said before, it's a track that throws up some strange results. There's people who normally mid-pack that get on the podium and get wins.
That's
so he could
why
be up
he's not come to my race 2 prediction yet. You just forgot about me there.
Sorry.
That's why I've put down Danny Kent, because
Danny Kent
I hope
did
he does.
well last time. So
I genuinely think Danny Kent can win a race this year. I'm not saying he will. I think he'll win this one, but I think he could. And did you like what I put in the doc there, Chippy?
it says little note that Sam put. No,
Probably
because
first
it's
time
fuck
you
what
read
you
it.
think. Besides, who's going to win? So go fuck yourself. So they're the little notes that Sam gives us as encouragement as the leader of the pod.
Thanks, Sam.
Yes. Well, nobody does. I think Charlie Nesbitt will get a podium. Nobody's asking you that. That's not part of the podcast. I won't ask you that. That's just so that if he does
I
get
just
a
want to
podium, you
call
can be
that.
like, I said that would happen.
Yes, and then when he doesn't,
Fuck
I'll
off.
just stay completely silent and pretend I never said it.
I think next year, by the way, we should be really tight on our predictions and we should keep score and we should make a little league. This idea of like, I said Bridewell will run race 2, but all I mean is he'll win a race. We have to be like proper solid on it, and we can try and keep a little league as to who wins what when.
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that.
We can do that.
So I put a little question down
Oh,
here.
this was you?
Yeah, I did this.
Oh, I thought it was Sam.
No, I
No, it
put
was
this
me.
question
And
in.
Chippy, I thought you'd be rather angry because you've been trying to ask this question for weeks.
I keep suggesting this question and then
So
nobody
I
takes
put-
part in it.
You
I
keep
put a
suggesting it,
question
but
in.
Ash actually put it on the doc. That's the
I did.
difference. He put it on the doc, which makes it official.
So I put this question on the doc.
Put my
if you
question
had-
on the doc.
No, it's mine because you didn't put it on there. If you had the money to start a MotoGP team, what manufacturer would you choose and who would your 2 riders be? This could be from any era. So, Chippy, do you want to go
Right.
first?
Well, I chose the 2010 Yamaha as the bike.
Yeah.
My number 1 rider would be Marc Marquez because
Course it
he's
would.
the GOAT, obviously.
Was
And
not.
as I've said many times before, Jack Miller is the perfect number 2 rider, so I've gone with him. And I've also put test rider as Danny Pedrosa because I think he can really develop a bike.
Yes, Danny Pedrosa is very, very cool. So what I did was the 2023 KTM because I am loving KTM at the moment. I think they're really, really cool.
You honestly think that's the best bike of all time?
No, it's the bike that I would, if I had the money, I would be putting that into a MotoGP team. I'd be having KTM because they're only just getting better and better. They're doing so well, I think.
Well, obviously that's going to batter my 2010 Yamaha.
Well, no, but obviously this is you can choose any era. Obviously, you know. Number 1 rider would be the GOAT, Valentino Rossi, of course.
It's not the GOAT.
The number 2 rider would be Danny Pedrosa because I just absolutely love Danny Pedrosa. And my test rider would be Casey Stoner. Because it's Casey Stoner. This is just cool.
Yes. Sam, you're very quiet. What did
Yeah.
you choose? And you haven't written it down.
No, I haven't written anything down because I've just got it in my head. So if it was up to me, I would have the Lucky Strike Suzuki because it's one of the coolest bikes I've ever seen. I'm not really focusing on how good the bike is. I've got the money to make a MotoGP team. I can just throw it away if I want. So I would have the Lucky Strike Suzuki, and my riders would be Barry Sheen, because you said from any era, so I'm going to have Barry Sheen because I want somebody I can party with at the end of it. I don't want one of these fit playboy riders. I want somebody that's going to smoke fags and get drunk. And my second rider would be Wayne Rooney, because I think Wayne Rooney's career was cut short, and I think he's one of the best, if not the best rider that the MotoGP, slash 500 scene has ever seen. And test rider would be Danny Pedrosa, because he's just the best test rider that the MotoGP's seen, because wherever he test rides, the bike's good. So he's obviously a good test rider. That's who I would have. As soon as you said that, I had to think about the rest of them, but I definitely 100% thought Barry Shane's definitely going to be in my team. Absolutely.
If anybody wants to, email in and tell us what they would do with their money for MotoGP team, please do.
Yes.
Yeah. Remember, it says from any era, so anybody at all.
Yeah.
Mike Heelwood, go right back. The first guys in their little fucking pedal and what was it you call it?
Pedal and pop.
Pedal and pop. Little pedal and pop bikes.
I haven't seen a pedal and pop for years, man.
Riding around at 40 mile an hour. You don't need them anymore. You got them electric bicycles where you ride for a little bit and then the electric takes over. And then when you're going uphill, you just ride normal and the electric takes over and you go uphill flying.
Pedal and pops are cool though. Hey. Anyway. Anyway. Does that bring us to the end?
That is a good point. We do need to say goodbye. I have a lot of editing to do because we're not going to talk all this bullshit. Right, this episode has dragged on, and let's be honest, I knew this was going to be a long episode because we had a lot to talk about and we had a lot of feedback as well, so I'm not going to apologise for the length of it. But we are going to have to say goodbye because we do have lives and we do need to go to bed when Ash needs to get some sleep because he needs to get up at 9 o'clock in the morning. So, Ash, do you want to say goodbye, mate? Up North Biker, do you want to say goodbye? Chippy.
See you later.
I'm the Big Bad Biker, this is the Big Bad Bike Show.
Goodbye.